Hey guys, we are back, but the court has not started yet, which is really weird because like a half an hour ago, I heard noise in the court and I started my live stream and I was all like, well, I guess this is what you get when you get a binge trial. They said they weren't coming back till 1. So I was live and then I heard something that I heard this morning and I was like, wait a minute, maybe we're not live. And we weren't live. I don't know what they did. They like started playing it over from this morning. And I was like, oops, sorry guys.
What?
I was like, ignore me, it's not time yet. So they've not started yet, but I hear sound in the court. So it looks like maybe soon, hopefully. Yeah, closed caption helps when they get it right. There was a word this morning that I know is not said in court that I will not repeat. RA always says, people ask, why do you have all that equipment? And you don't need to have all that equipment. And he says, because to bring you the best quality, I do. And he's right. He does have the best sound quality. You never have to worry about not being able to hear anything on his channel. But it just seems like such confusion. Like I would peek in on his channel for the longest time, but I wouldn't stay because all that equipment overwhelmed me. I was like, what do they do on that channel? Why is all that equipment there?
Raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Do you swear affirm the testimony you will give today in the matter of the state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the true self of God? I do. Please take a seat. Spell your first and last name, please.
Daniela Stewart, DaniellaStuart.
Where are you employed?
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
How long have you worked for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Approximately 8 years.
What are your current duties and assignments there?
I'm currently assigned to my office as a crime scene specialist, but my title is special agent. I use them interchangeably.
What is a crime scene specialist and which office do you work out of?
A crime scene specialist is a special agent that is assigned specifically to work crime scenes. So we specialize in just crime scenes. And I'm assigned to the Regional 11 Athens office.
Tell the court a little bit about your training and your education that qualifies you for your job.
So I have over 2,000 hours of combined law enforcement and crime scene training. And specifically, I'm a graduate of the National Forensic Academy, which is a 10-week academy in Tennessee where we learn about latent print processing, blood stain, shooting reconstruction, advanced processing techniques for crime scene. I am also a state certified crime scene technician. So I've taken the 7 classes that the state requires for that certification. I also have additional training through my agency. We go through a 10-week, well, it's now 13 or 14-week academy, where we have a week of crime scene training there as well. And as a crime scene specialist at the
Why
GBI,
didn't I think
we
of that?
continually train. I'm also the president of the Georgia IAI, which is an association in Georgia for additional training in forensics and crime scene processing. So we have yearly meetings that we attend for training and also conferences.
How many crime scenes have you had the opportunity?
I've probably processed close to, I want to say maybe between 80 to 100. Prior to working for the GBI, I worked for the Atlanta Police Department as a civilian crime scene technician. So there I responded to over 500 for the DeKalb County Police Department in a civilian capacity in crime scene for a little while, where I also responded to major crimes.
Do you have some special training in photography as well?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the court about that?
So in the National Forensic Academy, we have a week of photography there as well. And in the GBI Special Agent Academy, we also do photography in crime scene week as well. And then for the GBI, we train additionally in photography. So this year alone, we've had photography training.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? I'm handing you a few items of evidence, so I don't keep coming back up here at one time. The first one is states 142. And I apologize because we have pre-marked a lot of evidence, so I don't like to go out of order, but this one will be out of order. You recognize states 142?
I do.
And there will be 18 to 141, just so that everybody knows. What is states 142?
This is a copy of my CV.
And that means your qualifications that you went over with us?
Correct.
State of New to admit states 142. The next fact I am going to
Come on, StreamYard.
sketch. The photographs are marked for the record as states exhibits 18 through 84. And the crime scene sketch is
It's StreamYard. I'm even wired in with an Ethernet cable and it still keeps doing it. So it's gotta be StreamYard. And I don't know how to fix it.
Do you recognize 18 through 84?
I do.
What are they?
They are crime scene photographs that I took.
And are they the crime scene photographs that you took on the 22nd day of February, 2024?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately depict the scene as you saw it on that day?
Yes, they do.
State would move to admit states 18 through 84.
No objection.
Admitted.
States exhibit 85, is that still in front of you?
Yes.
Can you tell us what that is?
This is one of my crime scene sketches.
And is that a fair and accurate copy of your crime scene sketch? And does that sketch adequately and accurately represent the scene as you saw it on that day?
Correct.
State would move to admit states exhibit 85.
No objection.
85 submitted.
And before we move on to, I want to ask you a little bit, I know it's in your CV, but I would like you to tell the court a little bit about your training in latent print processing. What is latent print? What is the processing of it? And how are you trained in that regard?
So as far as latent print processing, again, at the National Forensic Academy, we have a week of latent print processing there as well, which includes latent print photography. I also teach classes, crime scene classes for the University of Tennessee, and I go back and I actually teach at the Forensic Academy, so I've taught the latent print week there as well. And then with the GBI, we have additional training in latent print processing.
How many items of evidence have you had the opportunity to process for the presence of latent prints over your career?
Oh gosh, a lot. When I worked in the Atlanta field office, we processed a lot of vehicles, a lot of cartridge cases. Like I said, I responded to over 500 crime scene calls there, so maybe about half of those probably involved latent print processing.
And Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender Special Agent Stewart as an expert in the field of crime scene photography, latent print processing, and crime scene processing.
Should be allowed to testify as an expert in those areas.
May I approach to retrieve the photograph?
Yes.
Could you start first by telling the court what date and time did you get a call to process a scene on the University of Georgia's campus?
So it was February 22nd, and I responded to the crime scene at approximately 2 p.m. So I would have gotten the call maybe an
Well,
hour
that's comforting.
after that.
Tell the court what the crime scene was like when you got there.
When I got there, one of the things that I noticed was it was very windy out. There was a lot of leaf coverage in the area. It was a wooded area.
What was the temperature like?
It was approximately 67 degrees.
Was this an outdoor scene?
It was an outdoor scene.
Can you tell the court what are the challenges particular to outdoor scenes?
So with an outdoor scene, obviously you're dealing with weather conditions, basically Mother Nature could be directly impacting you. Whereas when you have an indoor scene, even if it's raining outside, it's not really going to impact how you work.
And did you find any challenges with this particular scene due to the foliage?
Yeah, so like I stated previously, the leaf coverage was kind of thick in the area that was off of the trail, and it was also very windy.
So how did that impact you and your ability to process the scene?
Well, when it's windy, obviously things are not going to stay where they normally are or where they were previously. So you kind of have to take that into account when you're looking for evidence.
Did you process the scene by yourself or with others?
With other people.
And tell us a little bit about that process in this particular case.
So how our agency works is we are a request-only agency, which means that an agency has to request us for assistance. That may mean us taking over the entire case. That may mean us just working the crime scene. That may mean us just doing a few investigative acts for them. So in this case, the University of Georgia Police Department requested for us to, or for me to help process the crime scene.
Who did you work with specifically with the University of Georgia Police Department in processing this scene?
That would be Sergeant, well, now Lieutenant Saunders.
And how did y'all go about processing this scene? Was it together? Was it separate? Tell us about that process here.
Yeah, so what we decided was because they were going to be the primary agency on the case, I took photographs for them. That was what they requested. And then I assisted with collecting the evidence, but Detective Saunders took possession of all of the evidence.
And when you said you assisted in collecting it, were you literally standing side by side as y'all were collecting it together?
Yes.
I want to start with an overall of the crime scene and your crime scene sketch, which would technically be State Exhibit 85. And for ease, Your Honor, we have a blown-up version of State Exhibit 85, which I think would be easier for the witness to testify to and would not have to leave the stand for that. So may I approach the witness?
Yes.
My handing you has been marked as State's Exhibit 143. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
It is a blown-up copy of my crime scene sketch.
So is State's 143 just a blow-up copy of State's 85?
Correct.
And would using State's 143 aid you in your testimony today before this judge to explain the crime scene?
Yes, it would.
State would move to admit 143 for demonstrative purposes only.
Submitted that purpose.
And may I publish it using the easel here if it will stay?
Yes.
No? Can you? Easel doesn't have heat, so we are going to try to click it. Thank you. 43 to Lake Eagle. I want to make sure that Defense Council can see, can the board see. Thank you. I want to start talking to you about your photos. How many evidence markers did you have on this scene, and what is the significance of the evidence markers?
I used 8 evidence markers.
And did you label the items of evidence by number?
Yes.
And just before we get started, tell the court, what is evidence item number 1 that you collected or you assigned number 1?
The AirPod.
And evidence item 2?
Evidence item 2 was a bloodstained rock.
Evidence item 3?
A bloodstained rock.
Evidence item 4?
Was a section of a tree.
Evidence item 5?
The jacket.
Evidence item 6?
The sports bra.
Evidence item 7?
A suspected bloodstain.
Evidence item 8?
A cell phone.
And the cell phone belonging to who?
Laken Riley.
Did you assign these a number by any significance, or just the number in which you collected them, or?
Just the number in which I collected them. Sometimes I do it by what I first see. It just depends.
I'd like to start first with State's Exhibit 18. Tell the court, what are we looking at here?
So this is an overall photograph of the trail.
And in this picture, State's Exhibit 18, in what direction would be Laken Riley's body?
It would be towards the right side.
Okay, so I'm gonna, for the record, point my finger on the right side where my finger is?
Yes.
That would be in that direction?
Yes.
When you got there, did you observe, first of all, was Laken's body still there?
Yes, it was.
And did you observe any signs of medical intervention?
Yes.
What did you observe?
So with me, the AED pads were actually still on her body, and the AED was actually still audible.
What is an AED?
It is a device that first responders use to try to revive individuals.
State's Exhibit 22, what are we looking at there?
This is an overall showing the area closer to her body, which was near a tree that had already fallen down.
The tree that her body was near.
That's not what an AED does.
Yes.
The screens don't work like that. I think you have to point behind you.
Okay.
Thank you. She has a pointer.
Great.
It's in the middle of photograph 22.
Yes.
Page 22. State's Exhibit 49. What does this depict?
So this is an overall, once I put out my evidence markers, and the fallen tree would be on this side.
To the left side of State's 49 for the record.
Correct.
State's Exhibit 33, what are we looking at here?
This is an overall of the top half of her body.
Did you observe injuries to Laken Riley's body?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 35. Tell the court, first of all, where overall did you observe injuries?
So there were injuries to the left side of her head, and then there were also these linear marks on her torso.
And point to those for us. Is that, okay, thank you. Middle of State's 35. State's 38, what part of Laken Riley's body are we looking at here?
So this would be the lower, like just below her left hip. I had to kind of pull down her underwear. We always try to examine the decedent to see if there are any individual injuries under the clothing that we're missing.
And is that your glove then that we see in the photos?
Yes, it is.
All right, what injuries did you see when you pulled down her underwear?
There was another linear mark that looks kind of similar to the ones that were on her torso, but a little bit wider.
Point that out for the court. Where is her underwear line in this photo then?
So her underwear is down here where my glove is, because I'm having to pull it down to photograph that injury.
And in this injury that you photographed in States 38, is that her pubic area?
Yes.
And you actually can see pubic hair in that area?
Correct.
Can you show that to the court, please? Thank you. Circle it below the wound for the record in the bottom part of States 38.
Yes.
States 39.
This is a photograph of the lower half. So I was trying to photograph the dirt stains that were on her leggings.
States 40.
Those are her shoes.
States States 27.
This is a close-up of her face.
States 32.
This is a close-up of the injuries to the left side of her head.
Please point to the injury, one of the injuries to the left side of her head that you captured in this photo.
So on scene, really, I can only observe two. I know that there were more, but I can only see two. So this one, and then this larger one.
Did you make any observations about her hair?
Yeah, so her hair was very tangled, which made it difficult for me to locate the additional injuries.
Entangled with what?
So there were leaves, blood, dirt tangled in her hair.
And when you say tangled, do you mean attached? Do you mean, I don't mean to be picky, but what do you mean by tangled?
Yeah, so typically with the decedents, we try to do an examination for additional injuries, which would mean somewhat kind of looking through the hair. And in this case, it was extremely difficult for me to do that because her hair was so matted and clotted with blood.
For some reason, we lost our, there it is, okay. States exhibit, and I wanted to ask you before we leave off the underwear, you said you did pull down the underwear,
Correct.
but this photo, States exhibit 35, does that depict the way you found her underwear out there?
Yes,
Before you actually examined her for other injuries?
correct.
And how would you describe her underwear in this photo and what you saw on scene?
So on scene, her leggings were down below her belly button, and the underwear was somewhat protruding out of the right front area.
Did you flip her?
Yes, we did.
States exhibit 41, what did you observe when you flipped her?
When I flipped her over, I noticed that her leggings were exposing the upper area of her buttocks.
And can you show us where that's depicted in States 41?
Area.
In the middle of the photograph.
Correct.
States 42, what does that depict?
So there's a little bit of a glare, but I was just trying to show that she had like some leaves on her back, which is, I guess, to be expected because she was laying in that area. And then also that her hair was matted.
I was trying to find a way to eliminate the glare. This might become a problem later. But I'm not sure how we would do that without turning off lights. So,
If you hold it.
Turn out the lights. That's what they do in other courtrooms.
would we be able to dim a little bit just so the glare disappears?
Just turn them off. They take a key?
Thank you, Your Honor. With the glare be gone, States 42, can you show us what part of Laken's body are we looking at here, and what are you photographing?
So we're looking at the back, but also we're looking at her head where her hair is has leaves and sticks and dirt and blood in it.
Where's her neck in that photograph? Was she wearing a necklace?
Yeah, she was.
Okay, and can you point the necklace out on States 42 at the top of the picture? Okay, thank you. States 43.
This is a photograph of her left hand.
Was she wearing a watch?
She was.
And do you see that watch in this photograph?
Yes.
Can you please point to it? Thank you. States 44.
This is a photograph of her left hand also, just her fingernails.
States 45.
Photograph of her right hand.
States 46.
Another photograph of the right hand showing her fingernails.
Did you take measurements on scene?
Yes.
I'm going to move away from the photographs of her body. But before I do that, I wanted to ask you about her shoes and any observations you may have made about her shoes. What type of shoes was she wearing?
She had Hoka brand running sneakers.
And did you observe those and look at those on scene?
Yes.
And what observations, if any, did you make about those shoes not showing enough sensibility?
When I first looked at them, I noticed that they had reddish stains on them, and then they were also dirty. And then in the grooves, dirt was, I guess, caked, for lack of a better term, in those grooves.
And when you say reddish brown stains, what do you mean by that?
The suspected blood stains.
Did you take measurements at the scene?
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you, first starting with what you marked on your evidence marker as your evidence marker 1, and while we're talking about evidence marker 1, would you, with some of the evidence, do you have gloves?
Yes, I do.
Would you glove up, please?
Yes.
And may I approach the witness room?
What is that?
Special Agent Stewart, we're going to start with marker 1. You already told us it was an AirPod.
Yes.
Was it on the trail or off the trail?
It was off the trail.
Approximately how far off the running trail was your marker 1?
That was a little difficult to determine because it was hard to see where the trail actually ended and where the road started and the, I guess like the leaves, because the leaves were so thick in that area, but it wasn't far.
So when we see leaves in this photograph states 55, could you also then point for the court where is the marker 1 on this chart?
Yes.
At the bottom of 143. And may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Pending what's been marked for identification purposes, the state's exhibit 86. Do you recognize state's 86?
Yes,
What is it?
it is the AirPod.
And if you keep your voice up so Madam Recorder can hear you, and we can take that. Okay. And is the AirPod in the same or substantially same condition as it was when you collected it on the 22nd day of February 2024?
Yes.
Say we move to admit state's exhibit 86. Request permission to publish.
6 is admitted.
May I publish?
Yes.
The distance, I'd like to ask you, from this trail, from where you marked 1, from your marker 1 to markers 2, 3, and 4, what is that distance?
64 feet, 11 inches.
You measured that day?
Yes.
The distance from where you marked 2, 3, and 4 to where Laken Riley's body was found, what is that distance?
13 feet.
And the distance from marker 8, and what is marker 8 again?
The phone.
Distance from Laken Riley's body over here at 5 and 6 to the phone is what?
I believe it's 54.7 or 57.4.
Over 50 feet.
Yeah, it's over 50 feet.
I want to go on to your evidence markers 2 and 3. What were those?
This was evidence markers 2 and 3 represent rocks that were bloodstained, and then evidence marker 4 represents the tree that had bloodstains.
All right. Before we zoom in on 2, 3, and 4, what, if anything, did you notice about this area in your crime scene sketch that you labeled 2, 3, and 4?
So in this area near evidence markers 2, 3, and 4, there was also an area where I could actually see the ground, where the leaves were significantly disturbed to the point where I could physically see the ground.
And why is that significant to you?
Because the leaf coverage was pretty thick throughout the entire crime scene, and there were no other areas where I could actually see the ground.
So what conclusions did you draw based upon that?
Based on that, and then also like her hair being very matted, some type of significant disturbance happened in that area.
Did you observe blood in that area?
I did.
And where did you observe the blood in that area?
The blood was near evidence markers 2, 3, and 4, and there was no other blood in the crime scene other than obviously where her body was resting.
State's Exhibit 62, what is that?
That is a close-up photograph of the rock from evidence marker 2.
I'm just asking why.
Out, yes. Does it sleep? Does that a sleep mode?
No, it should be, we don't have that problem, it must be a connection issue, but I'm not sure. It gets worse with it. A lot of times. We'll just keep watching and see.
That is a rock. Is this one 2 or 3?
That one is evidence marker 2, and there were some hairs on that rock.
What type of hair?
It looks like it was brown, yeah, brown.
63
This is the rock from evidence marker 3.
and 64.
Another view of that rock, and you can see that there's hair on it.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you 2 bags. One is State's Exhibit 87, the other one is State's Exhibit 88. I'm going to ask that you look inside both of those bags, and then I'm going to ask you some questions.
Do I pull the items out?
Yeah, if you can see it to yourself, yes. And just set them on top of your lap if you could. And just do them at the same time if you could do the other one. And then I'll ask you about both at the same time. Okay, so have you had an opportunity to look at the items inside State's Exhibit 87 and 88? Yes. 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 Do you recognize those items?
I do.
And what are 87 and 88?
They're the rocks I collected, or that were collected from the crime scene.
And are they both in the same or substantially same condition as they were on the day that you collected them, February 22nd of 2024?
Yes.
State would move to admit States 87 and 88, request permission to publish.
87, 88.
Let's do them one at a time. I am holding. Yes, that's the first one. So this is State's Exhibit 87 I'm about to publish to the court. Which number is this in your crime scene sketch?
Evidence marker 2.
That's marker 2. '88. What evidence marker is this one?
Evidence marker 3.
And approximately what was the distance between 2 and 3?
I feel like it was less than a foot. They were very close together, which is why they got measured together.
How long did you spend at this crime scene that day?
I started at 2 and I was finished at around 8:45 p.m. So a little over 6 hours.
How much walking around this area, not only the crime scene where her body was found, but other areas around there, did you do that day?
When we got done with labeling when I got done with labeling 1 through 7, we were still looking for her phone, which is evidence marker 8. So we were still canvassing the area for that and additional items. I also looked for additional blood stains, so we went beyond just where her body was. I also had other agents search the area as well.
In and around the area area of her body and in anywhere out in that forest where you walked that day, did you observe any other rocks that were similar to the ones that you collected at 2 or 3?
No.
Moving on to item 4, and if you need to change gloves, you can. State's Exhibit 66, what does that depict?
That is a photograph of the bloodstone tree.
And State's Exhibit 67, what does that depict?
The hairs that were attached to the tree.
Difficult to see from my perspective, but can you point out the hairs that you saw in State 67? In the middle of the photograph. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you now what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 89. Ask you to look at that, please. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 89?
I do.
What is it?
It is a section of that tree.
And is it in the same or substantially same condition as it was the day you collected it on February 22nd?
Yes.
Do you move to admit State's Exhibit 89?
No objection.
Submitted.
And may I publish?
Yes.
Did you guys literally cut the tree?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
Because we wanted to make sure that we had the best evidence possible, and we felt that swabs were not going to be enough.
Evidence marker 5. Which is State 69 and is depicted in the photograph. What is that?
That's her jacket.
And State's Exhibit 70, what does that depict?
Her sports bra.
And had those items been cut prior to your arrival?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you now what has been marked for identification purposes of State's Exhibit 90 and 91. I'll ask you to do the same thing, take a look at those items, and I'll ask you some questions. Can you start with 90? What is State's 90?
This is her jacket, and actually there was also her shirt, but her clothing was so tangled that I didn't even realize the shirt was in there on scene.
And when you say tangled, what do you mean by that?
Well, the AED pads, it had been cut off by law enforcement. The AED pads were tangled in the clothing, and to avoid disturbing any trace evidence, we didn't open it completely.
All right, and are those items in the same or substantially same condition as they were when you collected them?
Yes.
They would move to admit State's 89.
No objection.
89 was 63.
I apologize, 90. And may I publish 90 before moving on?
Yes.
Oh, there's part of her sports bra in there too.
Let's do them one at a time. And 90, there are 3 items inside State's 90, the bag that's marked State's 90. Item number 1 I have in my hand inside of State's 90 is in my right hand. What is this item?
That is the jacket.
Item 2 in my left hand inside of State's 90, what is that?
The shirt.
Does this jacket have a zipper on it?
Yes, it does.
Item number 3 inside of State's 90 What is this?
A section of the sports bra.
Moving on to states 91. Sorry, ma'am. Let me put that. Or do you want to put that here? Pick that up. Is 91 in the same or substantially the same condition as it was the day you collected it?
Yes.
State of the United States 91, request permission to publish. No objection. And what is 91?
A section of the sports bra.
So the other section.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm fine.
That would bring us to your item number 7. Could you tell us about item 7?
My husband
So
wanted
as I
me to
mentioned
pay a
before,
bill.
I was trying to look for additional evidence, and as I was walking the area looking for additional blood stains, I came across a dark colored stain that I suspected could be blood. So I marked it, I tested it. It ended up not testing for the presence of blood.
And that's,
It was being uncooperative.
73.
Yes.
Online apps, man.
States 50. What are we looking at there?
So this is after I put out my evidence markers, and I'm just showing generally where the evidence markers are, and then this is the area of disturbed leaves,
Show the area disturbed leaves.
where I could actually see the ground.
So would it be in states 50 between the tree that you cut and Laken Riley's body in that photograph?
Correct.
States exhibit 54. Let me use what does that? Wait a second. I think it'll clear on its own. There we go.
So in this photograph, I'm trying to show evidence marker number 1, which is the air pod. And then there was also a path of disturbed leaves, not as disturbed as the area near 2, 3, and 4, that I used pin flags to kind of show the track of the disturbed leaves.
And that path of disturbed leaves, did it go from the trail to where?
It went from the trail to evidence markers 2, 3, and 4.
And that path would be how long in length?
It would have been a little less than 6411.
Would it be over 50 feet?
Yes.
When you say you saw disturbed leaves and you marked them with those orange flags, what did you physically see?
So when we were looking in the area, we were trying to look for additional evidence or just evidence in general. There, like I said, the leaf coverage was thick, but you could see almost like a slight depression in that area that led from the trail to the area of evidence markers 2, 3, and 4. And it was a little challenging to photograph because of the shadows of the trees. So I used the pin flags to show the path.
And what are we looking at here in states 53?
So this is a photograph from evidence markers 2, 3, and 4 back out, showing the viewpoint from the opposite direction, going from 2, 3, and 4 back to the trail, and then the pin flags are there.
Can you point to the pin flags so we can see them?
Yes.
Up in the middle of the photograph. And when you walked that trail and you photographed and you looked at, did you look at the disturbed leaf path?
Yes.
Did you see any blood?
No, I did not.
States 50. I already showed you that one, I'm sorry. 1 second. I want to talk to you about your marker 8. What was marker 8?
The phone.
At what time or how long approximately did it take y'all to find the phone?
We found the phone maybe about an hour before we finished. So maybe like 5 hours.
By the time you found the phone, was it daylight still or dark?
It was still dark. Oh, well, sorry. It was dark.
So State's Exhibit 80, what are we looking at there?
I'm surprised they found it in the dark.
I can't see the evidence marker.
I'm sorry, hold on. I will try to move it and see if it resumes. There we go.
So this is the photograph of evidence marker 8. And then in the
It looked
background,
hidden pretty good.
Full cell phone in this photograph?
no.
Okay. But it was there where evidence marker 8 was.
Yes.
Okay. Did you take a close up of this
I did.
State 81? What does that depict?
The cell phone.
Come on.
Phone.
Yes.
What, if anything, did you observe about the cell phone?
We noticed that there was an area of ridge
Ridge detail.
Maybe.
Were you able to see that without processing the phone at all?
Yes, a little bit, but I had to use oblique lighting. So that's where you take your flashlight and you kind of side light it to be able to view the latent prints better.
States 82, what does that depict?
That's a photograph of the phone and me using the flashlight to try to highlight it.
I'm gonna wait for this thing to stop moving. Hold on a second. Maybe it doesn't like the photos on top of each other. Where on the phone was this image that you saw, or this item that you saw? See, I'm not even touching it now. It's just moving.
It was at the bottom, close to the charging port area.
And do you see it depicted in States 82?
Yes.
Please point to it with your pointer. Were you able to determine, was there any reddish brown stains on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, what did you see?
It looked like there were reddish stains suspected to be blood,
Where on the phone?
specifically the print.
States Exhibit 83, this may be really tough. I think I'm gonna have to come to you closer for it. So before I do that, did you end up taking a better photograph or more photographs of the latent print that you saw on the phone?
Yes.
States Exhibit 84, what is that?
That is a macro photo of the latent print, or in this case, it would be a patent print because we could kind of see it. So of the ridge detail.
Of the ridge detail.
Correct.
And when you say a macro photo, what do you mean by that?
So with photography, we have different lenses, and the macro lens specifically allows us to take close-up photographs of small items that are difficult to see. So it almost magnifies.
When did you take this photo?
On the scene after we collected the phone immediately.
Was it before or after the phone was processed for prints?
This photograph, I believe this one is before. Yes, this one is before Detective Saunders used powder.
Okay, and did you see Detective Saunders process the phone?
I did.
And was that done in your presence?
Yes,
And then did he lift a latent lift card from that phone?
he did.
But this was your photograph prior to that.
Correct.
Now, for States 83, I am going to have to come closer to you because I am assuring that it's not going to show. May I approach?
Yes.
States 83, could you tell us what we're looking at? And then I'm just going to have to show counsel on the board.
This is a photograph of I was trying to show that the print was located in the area where you would swipe to unlock. And so the phone was actually still receiving notifications. And so it actually says swipe to unlock behind the print.
Where do you see the swipe to unlock on this photo? At the very bottom.
Yes.
I'm going to show the fence first, and then of course, permission may I show. And first corner, very difficult to see what we're. So moving to the phone in your exhibit marker 8. Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
I hand you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 92. Do you want me to take your old ones?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask that you look inside State's 92. Do you recognize what's inside State's 92?
Yes.
And what is it?
This is the cell phone that was at evidence marker 8.
And is it in the same or substantially same condition as it was when you collected it?
Yes.
State would move to admit State's 92.
No objection.
92 is admitted.
May I publish?
Yes.
So while I'm publishing the phone, can you put, using your finger where you saw the latent or patent ridge detail that we see in States 84?
It would have been right here.
And do you have an iPhone?
Yes, I do.
Right here where you put your finger, is that where you would hang up a call
Yes.
on an iPhone?
Yes.
Just have a few more photos. 74. What is State 74?
So this is, I was trying to show how we got to the phone because the phone was not close to where her body was. So there's my evidence marker 1, marking the AirPod, and then I try to use this tree stump as a marker to show the path of getting to the phone.
72.
So that's, we talked earlier about the suspected stain. So in this photograph, I'm just trying to show some spatial relationship between 2, 3, and 4 in that stain.
And finally, 25.
This is the area where first responders initially said her body was, and they moved her out. And I was just trying to show that even with first responders in this area, and there were several of them moving her, that area is still not nearly as disturbed as the area near evidence marker 2, 3, and 4.
On the scene that day, were Laken Riley's hands bagged?
Yes, they were.
And when we say bagged, can you describe what actually happened?
What we do is we put handbags over the hands to prevent the loss of any potential trace evidence or DNA.
And was that done in your presence by Lieutenant Saunders?
Yes.
Did you, what time did you leave that day, you said?
8:45.
At some point, were you asked to assist the same agency in photographing a suspect named Jose Ibarra?
Yes.
Can you tell the court what day and time were you asked to do that, and where were you and what did you do?
That would have been the 23rd, and it was approximately 9 p.m. when I arrived at the police department,
Which police department?
the Athens Clark County Police Department.
Yeah, absolutely. I am handing you what's been marked for identification purposes of States Exhibits 93 through 115. Ask you to take a look at those photos, ask you to pose the question. Do you recognize 93 through 115?
Yes.
What are they?
They're photographs of Mr. Ibarra.
Did those photographs fairly and accurately depict him as you saw him on February 23rd of 2024?
Yes.
State would move to admit 93 through 115.
No objection.
93 through 115 are admitted.
And may I request permission to publish? May I approach to treat?
Yes.
First of all, the person that you photographed that day, you see him in the courtroom today.
I do.
Could you please point to him and describe an article of clothing that he's wearing for the record?
He's wearing a plaid shirt.
Did the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant? When you photographed him that day, about how close did you get to him?
Pretty close because I had to take close-up photographs of injuries that were on his body.
Okay, did you observe injuries on his body?
Yes,
And did you photograph those injuries?
I did.
And the time that you saw him, excuse me, that day, is he heavier or lighter than he is today as far as weight?
When I photographed him, he was heavier.
Publishing States Exhibit 93, tell us what that is.
It's an overall photograph.
States 94, and it might be really hard to see, but maybe not. What does that depict?
An overall photograph of his hands.
And did you observe or photograph any injuries to his hands?
I did.
In general, just show us where they were. And
His knuckles look red.
Okay, so you're on the left hand for the record?
Yes.
Okay, and you pointed to the wrist area.
Yes.
Left pinky finger,
Yes.
okay.
And I believe I photographed his one as well.
Right middle finger.
Yes.
So States 95. Be hard to see. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, show us that injury. Show you these. States 100.
That's the wrist, left wrist,
States 98.
left pinky.
Whose scale is that?
Mine.
That's 96. States 96.
Oh yeah, that would have been I think the left middle finger from the previous photo.
States 101.
So now we're on the right hand.
102.
There's a small, well, that's like a scratch.
Okay, in the middle of States 102.
Yeah, on the middle finger.
States 103.
Photographing the other side of the hand.
104.
Overall, your forearms. Yeah, forearms.
105.
A scratch on the forearm.
Can you show that to the, or is that where your sticker is?
Yeah.
Your scale?
Yes.
Okay.
I try to put the scale close to the injury.
And is that his right side or his left side?
I believe that's the left side.
What I need to-
Yes, because it would be here.
That's the left side?
Yes.
States 106.
That's an overall of his upper body.
States 107.
An overall of the back, and there's something here.
Did you observe an injury there?
Yes.
And did you photograph that?
Yes.
States 108. Is that where your scale is? Is the injury that you observed
Yes.
in the photograph? I might need to hand these back to you if you can't tell what they
Okay.
are. So you let me know, okay?
Okay.
States 114.
That's the
Ooh.
left side of the neck.
And what did you observe to the left side of his neck?
Scratch.
All right, and is that, you just point to it for the record, above the necklace but below the ear?
Yes.
States 115.
That's the same
Oh,
injury with
she
a
got
scalp.
him good.
And what side of your scale is that injury for the record? In the middle of the photograph to the right side of the scale?
Yes.
states 112.
That would be the right side of the front neck.
What did you observe there? Okay,
It
you
looked like it
pointed,
was a scratch.
okay, in the middle of the photo. States 113.
Same scratch with a scale.
These are the ones I think I'm gonna have to come and hand back to you. May I
Okay.
approach the witness? I'm not sure to be able to tell based on what I could. It's probably easier to see. What part of the body is that?
This looks like it's the back. 109 looks like it's a close-up of
Oh,
the back.
yeah.
Okay.
The mark that was on the back. And then 110 would be
Oh.
the right elbow area. And then 111 is a close-up of that.
And approach to retrieve the first.
I'll tell you what, going forward, both prosecution and defense can move around further. I know
That's gonna be a hard habit to break.
It will, but I will do my best, Your Honor.
I don't know.
trying to
They
Thank you, yes, I understand. I will do my
his
best to make
knuckles
sure
look
that-
red,
because I
like
didn't know
it's
that. I did that.
recent after the attack, but the
So
scratches
then
look
just briefly states.
older.
110.
So I don't know.
Can you show us the scratch on that?
Yes.
And then 111, is that the same area? With
They arrested him the next day.
May I have one moment, Your Honor, with counselor? Pass the witness.
Afternoon.
When you arrived on the crime scene, the body had already been moved, is that right?
Correct.
And were you informed about how the body was moved?
Yes.
So you were aware that some policemen grabbed the ankles and some grabbed her arms to move her?
Correct.
At some point, you photographed a metal washer on the trail. Did that turn out to have any evidentiary significance in the case?
I don't believe it did.
Okay. Let's see. When it's hard for us to tell from the pictures, but when you photographed the rocks on scene, were they lying on top of the leaves or partially buried by the leaves?
They were lying on top of the leaves. Like when I went to collect them, it wasn't like they left a depression. Like it wasn't like they had been sitting there for a while.
So they had, they were on top of leaves and they were not in the dirt, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And you said that you didn't see any other rocks in the area, but to be fair, you weren't out there with a rake looking for other rocks.
I did move. So it's common for us when we have outdoor scenes in the woods, we do move the leaves to search for additional evidence, especially because it was windy and I knew that the leaves could have shifted. We did kind of like rake up, not using a rake, but literally on my hands and knees, crawling through the area, trying to find additional items.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good.
Okay. How wide of an area were you crawling through?
I searched the immediate area, and then there were also other agents that went further beyond the body, like into the woods in multiple directions.
Okay. And I'm not trying to pick you, but when you say immediate area, can you give us an estimate of feet?
So that would be the immediate area where my evidence markers are. That is what I consider my immediate area of the crime scene. And then I will assign other agents to go beyond that area.
Okay. Let's see. So you said that the markers 2, 3, and 4 were about 13 feet away from where the body was found. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay. And you said that the markers 4, 3, and 2 were about 64 feet from the path. Is that correct?
Yes, 6411 from evidence marker 1.
Okay.
Yes.
And for those of us that are not great with distances, is that like the length of this courtroom or a little bit more?
I'm not great with distances in that aspect either, so that's why I take my measurements.
All right, fair enough.
Thank you. That must have been when I was
So
fighting with the boost out.
I saw a picture close up of Laken Riley's hand and her fingernails. Eventually, her fingernails were clipped. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you do the clipping yourself?
I did not. That's done at the autopsy.
Okay. So these photos would have been before her fingernails were clipped.
Correct.
Okay. You also briefly in your report mentioned that there was an irregular shaped blood stain on her left ankle. Do you remember noting that in your report?
Probably.
Okay. Did you see a corresponding wound on her left ankle?
No, but given the fact that she was moved by law enforcement, or things could have occurred during the incident.
Sure. So I guess what I'm asking is, that looked like the blood on her ankle was formed from contact with a bloody object rather than from a wound on her ankle.
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the latent print that you talked about with Ms. Ross. So you described that it was on the very bottom of the screen
Correct.
and right where it would have said swipe up to unlock. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you own an iPhone.
Correct.
I own an iPhone. And you would agree with me that some iPhones have different screen sizes.
Yes.
But you would also agree with me that the marker to hang up a phone call is not at the very bottom of the screen.
I have an iPhone 13 mini, and which is probably the smallest iPhone you could have, and the screen size is not significantly different.
Sure. So just for demonstrative purposes, I'm going to show you my phone. It is also an iPhone. Would you agree with me that that's a fairly accurate screenshot of where the call would be displayed on an iPhone?
Yes.
You would agree with me that there's about an inch between the red hang up sign and the bottom of the screen?
Yes, but your iPhone has the button.
It does have the button, but from the bottom of the screen to the red button is about an inch.
I'd have to measure it.
It's not touching the bottom of the screen, right?
No.
You were present.
But
during
if
the
they were
autopsy of Ms.
fighting over it, though,
And you spoke with the medical examiner regarding the state of the crime scene as she was doing the autopsy.
I did.
Did you discuss her conclusions with her at that time?
No.
You noted in your report that you searched Miss Riley's shoes for a house key.
Yes, so at some point while we were working the crime scene, we were looking for her phone and potentially a house key. So some runners run with the house key in their shoe. They take the single key and they put it in their shoe.
And you didn't find the house key in her shoe.
I did not.
Did you ever find the house key in any of her clothing articles?
I did not.
I want to talk briefly about your photos of Mr. Ibarra. You took photos of his arms, his hands, his back, and his neck. Are those the areas that you photographed?
And his legs.
And his legs.
Yes.
We didn't go through any photos of his legs. Were there any injuries that you saw on his legs?
I did not observe any.
Now, when you took photos of Mr. Ibarra, you were also collecting evidence for a DNA test. Is that correct?
Yes.
And to do that, you collected some buccal swabs.
Sergeant Saunders collected those.
In your presence?
Correct.
Okay. And buccal swabs would be on the insides of the cheeks, correct?
Yeah, it's actually buccal swab.
she said it right.
And then you also tried to collect DNA from the fingernails, or at least collect his fingernails for DNA analysis. Is that true?
Correct, yeah. He had really short fingernails, so there was no way that I was going to be able to clip them.
So they were too short to even clip a little bit off of.
Yes, it would have been extremely painful.
Okay. And so instead, you guys resorted to a backup plan, which is where you swab the kind of underneath the fingernails.
Yes.
And you did that. And were those sent to the lab for testing as well?
That I do not know.
Okay. The injuries that you, well, I guess who had custody of those swabs under, would that be Officer Saunders?
Yes.
The injuries that you observed on his back and his neck and his arms, some of those injuries were lighter and some were darker. Is that true?
Correct.
All right. Just one moment, Your Honor.
Yeah, all I'm saying about the fingerprint is you're not going to
64 feet and 11 inches.
precisely touch
So,
just the button to hang it up if you're fighting over it.
Yep. And just step before those podium. Hold the end. Actually, I should hold the end. You should tell me when we get there. Okay. All right. Go over where you need to go to make it work.
Why are we doing this on redirect?
All right. So this is 25 How much more of this than you have there? Into the hall. At least by this distance, right? Because it's only 25 feet. And then by 14 feet in addition to that. Thank you. The iPhone, you had mentioned when this spec shows you her phone, that hers has that button that Apple doesn't use anymore at the bottom of the screen, right?
Correct.
Did Laken Riley's phone have that button?
No, it did not have the home button
What's the significance of the home button? And why did you point that out to Ms. Beck?
because the home button takes up space, and the whole reason the newer phones have a bigger screen, and the home button doesn't take up as much space, which provides a bigger screen. So that would change.
Would it change where you would hang up a call?
Yes,
So Laken Riley's phone did not have a home button like the one on Ms. Beck's phone, correct?
correct.
So would it look more like, I'll just show you my iPhone. Would it look more like my iPhone?
Yes,
No home button.
correct.
Hold on just a second. Miss Jackson's about to call me. Okay, so do you see where my phone is?
Yes,
Would the hang up button be where the answer button is as well? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you see my green?
yes.
Okay.
The slide to answer, yes.
All right, slide to answer. And that is how close to the bottom of the phone?
Closer than if you have a home button.
Thank you.
I remember the first iPhone I had without a home button. I was like, how do I use this? There's no button on it.
Can you recall some stuff?
I didn't realize people still had iPhones with home buttons on them.
Should be excused?
Yes.
Any objection? You're excused.
Thank you.
And call your next witness.
The state calls Zachary Davis.
Zachary Davis.
Maybe it is because my camera's on. Because every time I turn my camera back on, it starts doing it. Okay. I shut Discord down. I shut Discord down.
I am Zachary Davis, Zachary, last name Davis.
Where do you work?
I'm a police officer with the Athens Clark County Police Department.
How long have you worked for the Athens Clark County Police Department?
I've been employed with Athens Clark County since March 7th of 2022.
What are your duties with Athens Clark County Police Department?
I am a patrol officer. I'm assigned to the West Side Division, work night shift between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m.
As a patrol officer, what do you do?
Typically, it's responding to calls for service. When you call 911 and you want someone to come out, that's your patrol officers that show up. When we're not responding to calls for service, we're expected to be patrolling our areas, meeting the needs of the community.
When you patrol, do you wear uniforms such as you are wearing today?
Yes.
And you drive a patrol car?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you working for the Athens Clark County Police Department in on February 22nd of 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
What shift did you work that day?
6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
When you came in at 6 p.m., were you given any information about an incident that may have occurred?
Yes.
What information did you get?
At the time, it was very little information, but I was made aware that a female had been murdered in the IM fields, the intramural fields located on BGA's property, just across the village from my zone.
And when you say just across from my zone, what do you mean by that?
So we divide the county along Millage. Everything on the east side of Millage, like the downtown area, is east side. I work the west side, so everything on the west side, closer to Oconee County and the mall, that's typically assigned to our side of town.
So Millage, is basically smack in between the east side and the west.
Yes,
Are you familiar with the IM fields in that area of the University of
I
Georgia?
am.
And how are you familiar with that area?
Prior to being a police officer with Athens, Clarke County, I was employed by the University of Georgia Police Department and served on their patrol division for 5 years and some change.
So when you came to work that evening and were given this information, what, if anything, did you do?
My shift, we assigned more units down towards that Millage area, just hoping to assist in any way that we could. I immediately started talking to some of the locals, asking if anybody had heard of anything. Nobody really knew anything and could point me in any sort of direction to start working. At that point, the only real information we've been provided was a photo, a very grainy photo that I was told was taken from Building S on the University of Georgia's, when I worked there, it was called Family Housing. I'm not sure what it's called now. It's down there off of Rogers Road and East Campus Road. I was told that photo was of someone suspicious in the area that morning. I knew the proximity of Building S to the IM fields and the location that I worked for the county down in South Millage. I began checking in those areas for anything to go off of.
So tell us the proximities that you knew of then. The Building S that you're familiar with, how far
Sure.
away was that from Village?
From Millage, if it's just a straight line, it's maybe 100, 150 yards, I guess.
And you were made aware of where the woman had been killed. How far away was that from Building S?
Maybe another 100 yards. I still don't know the exact location, but I knew it was within that proximity of walking distance.
And I'm going to approach and show you a few things all at once so that I don't have to keep coming up to you. The first thing I'm going to show you is states 144. Do you recognize 144?
Yes.
What is that?
That is the grainy photo that was taken from Building S that I was provided.
And I would move to admit states 44. 144, I apologize.
Any objection to 144? No. 144 is good.
States 140, we're eventually going to get to that, but since I'm up here, I thought I'd go ahead and do it. Do you recognize states 140?
I do.
What is states 140?
That is a photo I took of a jacket that was located inside of a trash can on the property of either 291 or 295 South Millage Avenue, what used to be Raintree Apartments.
Is it also called Celiac at Azul at one point?
Yes.
And Argo Apartments?
Yes.
Yeah, about how many times has that apartment changed?
Since I've been living in Athens, 4 times, I believe. Now it is currently the Grove at 5 Points.
So no matter what the name is of that apartment complex, what are the addresses associated?
I believe it's 291 and 295 or 285. I'd have to check my CAD system mapping.
Okay, Village Avenue.
Yes.
Are both of those addresses, 285, 291 Village Avenue, are they both located in Athens, Clarke County, Georgia?
Yes.
This photograph that you took, which is states 140, does it fairly and accurately depict what you saw in the dumpster on the 22nd day of February 2024?
It does.
Say we move to admit states 140,
No. No objection. 140 is admitted.
and states 141 while I'm up here, what is that?
This is a flash drive that I have signed, and when I signed it, it contained my body cam footage involving collection of that jacket.
And is it a fair and accurate recording of your body cam footage?
It is.
State would move to admit 141.
Any objection to 141? No, sir. 141 is admitted.
And may I publish?
Yes.
So starting first with 144, is that the image that you were talking about that you had received?
Yes.
And you said you got to work about 6 p.m. that day?
Yes, that's when my shift starts.
Okay. And you had that image, you said you started asking people, you know, millaging around. What else did you do in relation to trying to assist the officers with the crime that had just occurred?
So given the university's location to Millage, I recalled an incident from 6 years ago where I pursued a subject from Building S, behind Building S, to, at the time, what was Argo Apartments at that 291, 295 address. And there's a perfect cut through that walks through those two. So I figured the ease of access for someone to easily cut over to Millage. I began checking dumpsters, just because people tend to try and get rid of property in dumpsters that they don't want to be in possession of. I checked several dumpsters. We'd also been called to, people were starting to call in about everything at this point, not really knowing what's going on, trying to be helpful. During that time, I found myself at the Rain Tree Apartments, wherever it was called. Started going through those dumpsters. There's one immediately behind the Italian restaurant that's there, that's still on the Rain Tree property. Looked in there, didn't see anything that really appeared to be evident that it was, pertinent to what was going on. I then made my way around. I noticed that the trash had been picked up recently. It's a rather large complex, and
Sorry, we had the lights off.
and then, so the trash had been picked up either earlier that day or relatively recently, just due to the lack of trash that was in there. I made my way further into the complex, and I noticed there were 3 dumpsters, 2 of which were trash receptacles and one that was clearly marked for recycling. I checked the 2 trash ones. They have the sliding doors on the side. Looked in there, didn't notice anything. Again, nothing that really stuck out to me as pertinent. Finally went to the one that was strictly labeled for recycling. The sides of it were welded shut, but the top was open, so I climbed up onto it and looked down into it, and that's why I noticed the blue jacket.
And what, if anything, did you notice about the blue jacket? And is it the blue jacket that is depicted here in space 140?
It is.
All right, there's a pointer right next to you. Can you point out the jacket? Up, it should be, oh, nope, there it should be.
So that is the jacket. The photo of the suspicious individual, they were wearing a darker colored jacket, appeared to have some shinier zippers or buttons on the front. Again, super grainy, but something to go on the zipper, as well as it appeared as though there were leaves. Upon further examination, there was a little bit more.
Could you see anything else on the jacket at some point?
Not from this height. At this point, we didn't want to just be chasing down clothes in dumpsters, but given this proximity to the scene as well as the photo that was taken, I immediately notified my supervisor so that he could contact me with the Georgia Police Department since they were working the case. Detectives from UGA came out to look at it. They decided they would like to collect the evidence. I volunteered to climb into a dumpster, and upon picking up the jacket, I noticed that there were leaves on it. There were tears on the front as well, and what appeared to be some darker red or brown stains on the sleeves near the wrist.
Did you notice anything else on the jacket?
There was, I believe in my video, I stated it's a button. The front has 2 pockets up here that fold down, and on the bottom has 2 pockets that fold out. That the buttons are used to close those pockets. Wrapped around one of the pocket buttons appeared to be dark hair.
So you jumped into the dumpster.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna show you or publish for you. Your Honor, can we toggle back over? Stage 141.
I was going to ask, how did they get it out of the dumpster when he said, I volunteered to get in there and get it? Oh, okay. That answers that question. Good thing it was not full of a bunch of disgusting stuff. It was almost empty.
Do you see the screen in front of you? Do you see that address, 2091 South Milledge Avenue?
Yes,
And that is located in Athens, Clark County, Georgia.
it is.
Is that where you found this jacket?
It is.
Who's that we see in your body
That
cam
is
video?
Detective Norris from the University of Georgia Police Department. He's the one currently standing on the side of the dumpster. The gentleman on the right is, I'm not sure if his rank at this time, but it is, when I was there, Lieutenant Graham.
So are those ACC PD officers or UGA PD
University
officers?
of Georgia.
So they do body cam for stuff like this too. I didn't even realize that.
The first 30 seconds is silent on all of our videos. It gives a chance to buffer and go backwards from time of activation.
So we'll hear volume in a second.
Yes, about 10 seconds.
Come on.
shit. There's hair on the buttons, ripped up sleeves. Bundle it up with whatever is. Yeah, let me open this bag. All right. See a brunette? Yeah. Women's long hair wrapped up in the buttons.
How do you know it's woman's hair?
Stop it at 258 in the top.
Can't tell that's woman's hair.
If it's 258 UTC minus 5 hours, about what time of night was this?
Objection.
9:58?
Pardon?
9:58?
9:58?
PM,
Okay.
yes.
PM.
Good for the math.
So, I think you did that right. 2:23:24, 2:58 UTC is 9:58 PM on the 22nd day of February 2020.
Yes.
Thank you. I heard you just ask, was she a brunette? Why did you ask that question?
Because the hair wrapped up in the buttons appeared to be darker, then appeared to be full black, and it definitely wasn't blonde. So.
All right.
While I'm in here, stand by.
Isn't black hair still considered brunette though?
Are we looking for a white coffee cup?
I thought they said the white styrofoam cup was out in the woods.
It's not the same as part of motor trash.
Yeah.
I know I still felt bad about it. I don't see anything else.
Guys have long hair too.
You good with it? What? Been called dumb before. No one satisfied. A report. That is copy.
How many dumpsters
Yeah.
had you looked at that evening before you got to this one?
Before to this one, I believe there's one dumpster area located behind the Tall Boy Liquor Store, which is at the intersection of Millage and the Inner Loop exit ramp. So that would be one or two dumpsters there, the other one on that property, and then including the two more, so that puts us at 5, and this dumpster makes 6. Somewhere in that area.
And we heard you say something about a coffee cup, a white coffee cup.
Correct.
What was that all about? What were you looking for?
In the, what are we calling it? The grainy photo.
Sure.
In the grainy photo, it appears that the subject's carrying a coffee cup.
Okay, well, hold on just a second. Maybe toggle back over. In states 144, do you see the cup you were talking about?
Yeah, lay the foundation.
Is that in the person's right or left hand?
Their left hand.
Is that what you were looking for in the dumpster?
Yes, I just remembered seeing the photo and seeing a white coffee cup, but it didn't appear large enough. I picked it up.
And so you didn't find that, but you looked.
Correct.
And anything else in the dumpster that was suspicious to you?
No.
Did you notice in the dumpster seemed kind of high? I mean, how high was it for you guys to go? You stood in it, so how tall are you?
But in boots, I'm 6 foot, and it's a hair taller than me, so probably 6'3", 6'4". The slit for the opening is, I believe I have to get on my tippy toes to look into it.
Okay.
So that's probably in the area of 6 feet.
All right. And when you hopped out of the dumpster, did you see a camera?
Yes.
Let me back up a little bit, and I want you to show us the camera that you saw when you got out. I'm gonna go back to where you hop out, and I want you to tell me to stop when you see the camera.
Video back.
Oh, sorry. So for the record now, I have states 141, and I'm just using the UTC time at this point at 2:59. I'm stopping it now at 2:59.
So this apartment, right here is Bravo 32 at Raintree Apartments. In that doorway, on the left side, you can kind of see a dark spot right there. That dark spot in a clear video would clearly be a security footage camera of that residence.
And did you let UGATD or UGPD know that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
May I have one moment with counsel, Your Honor?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
So we obviously see you get the jacket, take custody of the jacket, and before you put it into that paper bag, you were sort of talking to the other officers who were outside of the dumpster, right, describing a little bit.
Correct.
And one of the things we hear you say is that it's torn.
Correct.
And do you recall how many tears?
I do not. I did not want to manipulate the jacket any more than I needed to package it, but I also wanted to get as much of a description that I could at the time.
And then, and obviously you didn't examine it further after you packaged it up.
Correct.
That's all.
No, sir.
You excuse
Yes, sir.
objection. You're excused.
Thank you.
Our next witness is going to be a little lengthy, so we'll take our afternoon break so I can show you. Oh, yes, actually, I have.
Okay. All right, 10-minute recess.
Did they do DNA testing on the hair and the blood? And I mean, if they did DNA testing on the hair and the blood on that jacket, and they can tie that jacket back to him, and his DNA is under her fingernails, that's a slam dunk, right? So, like, why are we here? I don't know why he didn't just plead. Because he's got to serve his, like, if you're in the country without permission, you have to serve your entire sentence, no matter what, before you get deported. So this is going to be life without parole, which means he's never going to be deported. He's just going to be in prison here forever. I've always thought, why would you ever want a bench trial? You want to have a jury of people that don't know the law, that don't know every in and out of every statute, that are just regular people sitting there listening to the evidence. But no, he decided not to. Because he had all these motions of evidence that he didn't want the jury to hear. And because he lost those motions, he decided, since the jury had to hear these things he didn't want them to hear, that he just wouldn't have a jury. You've been dunked? What does that mean? Yeah, I'm sure News Nation is. Don't you have to pay for News Nation? Doesn't Nancy Grace have a show on there? She's probably screaming her head off right now. I've always liked Nancy Grace, and this is secondhand information, but apparently during the Delphi trial, Andrea Burkhart was going out there, like she went out there. She flew out there and she was there every day for the trial. And I guess there was a video or a post or something that Nancy Grace claimed came from Andrea and it didn't. Oh, slam dunk. Okay. So Nancy, I guess Nancy Grace attributed something to Andrea and it wasn't Andrea. And so Andrea called her out on it. And then Nancy Grace made the video private and blocked Andrea on X. And I was like, I cannot believe she did that. It's almost like Nancy Grace can't be I shouldn't say that on a live stream. Oh, she's not? I thought she was. Because my cousin, I guess you can get it as a streaming service. Because my cousin has it, and I thought she told me that Nancy Grace has a show on there. I watched her on YouTube, her YouTube channel during the Karen Reed thing, and she was convinced that Karen Reed was guilty. And that's when I was like, wait a minute, Nancy, didn't you watch the trial? What are you talking about? So I was like, wait a minute. Is she always just pro prosecutor? I know she used to be a prosecutor, but because, I've loved her since Casey Anthony, because she was outraged by that, as you should be, because that woman got away with what she did. But I don't think Karen Reed did anything. And I don't know about Richard Allen because they didn't let us see the trial. So how am I supposed to make a decision based on facts when everybody hid the facts? Maybe. It might be. My cousin is like uber political. And I'm not. I'm a little bit, but not like. I went to visit her for a week one time, and it was like politics 24/7, always on their TV. I was like, do y'all watch anything? Oh, okay. I'm going to have to ask her which one she was talking about then, because I thought she said News Nation. Because I do remember her telling me that Nancy Grace was on it, so it's got to be a different one then. Yeah, I love my cousin to death, but I was so bored. I was there for a week, and I was like, if I hear another politician and her son, he knows more. Well, he's 18 now. He was like 16, I think, at the time. He knows more about politics than any 16-year-old should. Like, he'd say something, and I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know that? Like, it's like, I just don't. My philosophy in life is just, again, what is wrong with you, dog? Why don't you just stay outside today? No. My philosophy in life is to just pray and let God handle everything. Yeah, I try to avoid the urge to say, well, the cops caught him, so it must be the guy. You know what I mean? But it usually is. But this time, like, DNA doesn't lie. They had, like I said, they've got his DNA under her fingernails. If the DNA on that jacket is hers and it's his jacket and his DNA is under her fingernails, it's a slam dunk. And he's gonna, American taxpayers are going to be paying his living expenses for the rest of his life now. I don't see why, if they come here and commit crimes, why we can't just send them back. Oh, okay, that's what it was. Fox Station. It was the nation part that threw me. I just let him outside. Good Lord. You want a dog? Bill! Why didn't you tell me you had to go outside? I let him outside. He doesn't do anything. He turns around and barks to come right back in. She pees. Doesn't tell me she has to go out. I have no idea. My cousin's like, I want to come visit. I'm like, okay, if you can stand the smell in my house. They're old and I love them. And I'm glad that I have a carpet steamer thingy. My husband he loves to steam clean the carpet though. He loves it. He loves to mow and he loves to steam clean the carpet. Except the lawnmower is broken now and he's going crazy. He's spending way too much money trying to fix it though. He doesn't know what's wrong with it and he keeps buying parts and trying them. Nope, it wasn't that. And he'll buy a new part. Nope, it wasn't that one. Nope, it wasn't that one. He's having fun, but he's wasting a bunch of money on it. I was in town the other day and I saw a sign in front of the grocery store that said golden retriever puppies and I had a phone number. And I've been wanting a golden retriever for a long time. So I took a picture of the number and I sent it to my husband and he sent me back a laughing face emoji. I was like, shut up. I didn't even like dogs when I met you.
If you could stand and raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you will give today in the matter of the state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Please, take a seat, spell your first and last name.
First name is Daniel. Last name Saunders.
Where do you work?
The University of Georgia Police Department.
How long have you worked there?
I worked there since 2008.
What are your duties and responsibilities there?
My current duties are I'm assigned as the lieutenant of the administration division.
At one point, were you over the crime scene section?
Yes, I was a sergeant in investigations, and one of my duties was to process crime scenes.
Tell the court a little bit about your training for processing of crime scenes.
Throughout my time at the University of Georgia Police Department, I've taken classes in crime scene investigations, evidentiary management, crime scene tech, basic photography, latent print development, and sexual assault investigations
And how long have you been a law enforcement officer?
since 2008.
How many crime scenes have you had the opportunity to process over your career?
I don't have an exact number, but several.
Were you
Several.
working on February 22nd of 2024?
Yes.
What were you doing that day?
I was working in investigations that day.
And what, if anything, occurred that day that brings you to court today?
On the 22nd, we had a call go out for a non-accidental death at the intramural fields. I responded to that area to help process the scene.
Were you the lead assigned to process the scene, or did you all call another agency to assist you?
I initially headed that way, and we hadn't called another agency at that time. While I was taking pictures of the scene, I was informed that the GBI was called to come in and process the scene, so I stood by at that point.
When you entered the scene that day, how did you enter the scene?
I went in after crime scene specialist Stewart came in. I kind of followed her as she was taking pictures of the overall area.
At some point, did you observe a item that was not actually within the crime scene, but kind of close to it?
Yes, on the way to where the actual scene itself was, I do remember seeing a white styrofoam cup that was right off the main road leading toward where the scene was, stood out because it's typically a very clean area right there at the University of Georgia, at the intramural fields. So I made a mental note of that at that point.
And did you eventually photograph that cup and collect it?
Yes.
I'm gonna show you what has been marked as State's Exhibits 116 through 120. If you look at those for me. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
What are they?
These are photos that I took of the cup where it stood when I first saw it.
And do they fairly and accurately depict the cup as you saw it on February 22nd of 2024?
Yes.
State would move to admit 116 to 120.
No objection.
About what time did you arrive on scene, and about what time did you observe that cup?
My arrival on scene was right around 12:57 is when we arrived at the intramural fields.
Did you observe that cup?
Immediately upon arrival.
Your Honor, could you toggle back over to the
Elmo, thank you. With the court's permission, may I publish 116?
Yes.
Through 120. 116, tell us what we're looking at here.
This is the main route into the intramural field area. There's a large rock on the left. The road that continues past the rock, past that and to the left is where the actual crime scene was.
Okay, so where my pin is, you see that truck?
Yes.
Is that in the direction of where the crime scene was?
Yes.
And to get from where this rock is to where the crime scene is, how do you get there?
The primary route, if you're on a vehicle, it's going to be going directly past that cup toward where the vehicle is, and then the road curves off to the left.
State's Exhibit 117, what is that?
That's a closer up image of the rock in the cup.
118, what is that?
It's the same thing. It's just moving in a little bit closer to where the cup and the rock are.
And do you show us where the cup is using the pointer in 118? Up, you gotta go up behind you. You can't. see
Oh,
on the
sorry.
screen. It's in the middle of 118? 119. In the middle, okay. You can have a seat again. And then State's Exhibit 120, what direction is it?
This is going to be facing toward the east, back toward family housing area.
And do you see the cup in State 120?
No, not in this image. Yes, I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's
is that
kind
hard
of
to see
grainy.
because of the glare?
Yeah.
All right, so you pointed out in the right side of the photograph. In this photograph, where is the university housing that you mentioned?
University housing is right here on the hill behind the trees.
Thank you. So, did you collect this cup?
Yes.
And when you went to collect the cup, did it have anything in it, or was it?
It had a liquid inside of the cup.
And did you smell the liquid?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you smell?
It smelled like alcohol.
Was.
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification purposes, the State's Exhibit 148. And ask that you look inside of that, and I'll ask you questions.
Yeah.
Do you recognize State's 148?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the cup that I collected. That was featured in that photograph.
And did the cup that you collect also have a straw?
Yes.
And is this cup in the same or substantially same condition as it was when you collected it?
Yes,
And do you see the straw and the top of the cup as well?
yes.
Statement moved to admit states 148, request permission to publish.
No objection.
148 submitted in May.
Prior to collecting the cup, what did you do with the liquid?
I poured it in a separate container and sealed that, separate from the cup.
States exhibit, I'm gonna approach you with what is marked States Exhibit 154. Do you recognize States 154?
Yes.
What is it?
That is a map of the intramural field where the cup was and also where the crime scene was.
And with using States 154, agent testimony before the court today to show him the relationship between the cup and the crime scene.
Yes,
And is this an accurate overhead image of the crime scene from that? I mean, as a depicted that.
yes.
Statement moved to admit 154, request permission to publish.
I have objection being within the amount of purpose.
Submitted for that purpose.
If you could use your pointer and show us here what we're looking at, can the court and counsel see?
Okay. This is the location of where that cup was, right here next to the rock. And this road is the main road that I took to the crime scene, which then loops around and comes back through here. And this is where the scene itself was.
And in States 154, you also see, and then also, did you respond to a call later that evening to an apartment complex named Argo, sometimes called Raintree, but it's at 2084 Millage Avenue?
I did, yes.
And do you see that also in States Exhibit 154?
Yes, right. Right here.
At the bottom?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, you can have a seat. In addition to collecting that cup, did you assist Special Agent Stewart in processing the scene?
Yes.
Tell us how you assisted.
I assisted her by collecting the actual items that were on the scene, by helping her physically put them in the bags, the collection bags. Also, when the cup and when we found the victim's cell phone, I collected it, or Agent Stewart collected that. I processed it.
Also, the items that were collected by yourself and Special Agent Stewart that day, were they sealed by you?
Yes.
And were they dropped off at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab for processing sealed?
Yes.
Did you collect the Garmin watch off of Laken Riley's body?
I did.
And did you also bag her hands on the scene?
I did.
How did you bag her hands on the scene?
Using CSS Stewart provided me with the handbags that she had, and I placed it on the victim's hands.
I'm going to hand you two items. The first one is States Exhibit 146. And the next one is States Exhibit 153. I'm going to ask you about 146 first. Do you recognize 146?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the bag that I placed the victim's watch in after I removed it from her wrist.
And can you open up the inside? You see inside the bag?
Yes.
And what's inside the bag?
The Garmin Forerunner watch.
And is it in the same or substantially same condition as it was when you collected it?
Yes.
And when you arrived on scene, was the watch still running?
Yes.
state would move to admit State's Exhibit 146. May I publish?
Yes.
And there's 153. I'm going to ask you about 153. Before I do that, tell us about when the phone was found. How did you physically process the phone?
Using a sterile brush and sterile black powder that Agent Stewart had in her crime scene vehicle.
Okay, and did y'all do that together as well?
She photographed the item prior to me processing it. After she was done photographing it, I physically processed the phone itself.
And were you able to lift a latent lift off of that phone?
Yes.
If you could look at States 153, what is that?
This is the latent lift from that phone.
The state would move to admit States 153.
153 is admitted.
And I want to ask you, did you note on the lift card where on the phone you found that impression? Or developed that impression? Saw that impression?
Yes, there's a drawing on the front of the print card itself on where that print came from.
All right, is that the mark that you have there? Is that an X?
Yes.
And I'll publish that to the court. So it's this drawing here where it says sketch and an X.
Correct.
That's where you saw the impression.
Correct.
And this latent lift card and Special Agent Stewart's photographs of the latent lift that you all saw on Laken Riley's phone on the 22nd day of February of 2024. What did you do with those items? What happened to the photographs and the latent lift card itself?
Those were provided to Tim Stewart with Athens Clark County Police Department.
And what was the purpose of providing those items to him?
He is the local APHIS fingerprint examiner, so those were provided for him for comparison purposes and to run on APHIS.
I want to direct your attention to later on that evening. About what time did you leave the crime scene?
We left, the crime scene work was actually complete around 8:45. We left closer to 9 o'clock.
When you left, where did you go?
We were headed back to the station. On the way there, I received notification that Officer Davis with the Athens Clark County Police Department had found some items, a jacket that may have been related to our crime scene.
So did you respond to that location?
Yes.
When you were there, what, if anything, did you collect or see?
While we were on the scene, I collected, I handed an evidence bag to Officer Davis with Athens Clark County Police Department. He put a blue jacket inside of that bag, and we also collected a set of gloves that were found in a bush nearby where the dumpster was.
Going to hand you with and mark for identification purposes of State's Exhibits 121 and 130 through 130, not and, but through 121 through 130. As we look at those photographs. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
What are they?
These are pictures of what I took that evening of the dumpster that the jacket was found in, the jacket itself that was in the dumpster, and then the gloves that were found in the bush, the relation of the bush to where the dumpster is.
And do they fairly and accurately pick those items as you saw them on that evening?
Yes.
State you move to admit 121 through 130.
121, 130.
Request permission to publish.
Denied.
121, what are we looking at there?
The dumpster that the jacket was found in is right here.
Okay, can we dim the lights again? Because now the glare is back. Thank you.
This dumpster right here is where the jacket was found in.
And that's the one closest to the patrol car?
Correct.
And whose patrol car is that? I mean, as far as what agency?
Athens, Clark County Police Department.
Thank you. 122, what are we looking at there?
It's another image of the dumpster, just from another angle.
123,
A closer up image of the dumpster itself.
124,
This is an overhead view inside the dumpster. You can see the edge of the dumpster where I held the camera up and photographed the jacket that was found inside.
125,
And it's a closer up image of the jacket itself, just with a little bit better lighting.
all right, and do you see a button on that jacket?
Yes.
Can you point that out? And on your photograph, do you see anything around the button?
Yes, there was hair around this button.
126,
Where?
Yep. The jacket itself again.
and so you said there were some bushes,
Correct.
and you went and looked there and recovered some gloves. What brought you to do that? How did you go to look at some bushes?
As we were searching the area around where the jacket was found, we had noticed that there was a security camera in one of the apartments nearby. We spoke with a resident of that apartment, and he allowed us to view his camera footage from that security camera that was pointed at the dumpster. After watching that security footage, we noticed that somebody had put an item in that dumpster. And then after they put the item in the dumpster, they walked toward the bush and appeared to put something in the bush as well. So we checked that specific area of the bush where you could see somebody put something in there.
And what, if anything, did you see in the bush when you checked it?
Some gloves that were wrapped up together.
What kind of gloves?
They were black, black gloves.
Cloth or not cloth?
No, not cloth.
States 130, what does that depict?
That is a picture of the bush in relation to where the dumpster itself was.
Can you tell us which bush you went into? Because I see 2 in States 130.
Yes, I believe it was this one, but one of the other pictures should show it from a different angle as well.
Okay, States 127.
Yeah, it was this bush right here.
And when you say this one, is that the one in the middle? Or
Correct, the
the
one in the middle. It was found right here in these branches.
States 129.
That's how the gloves were situated. We hadn't touched them or anything at this point. This is how they were found in the bush.
And 128.
That's a little bit closer up or further off image of where the gloves were found in the bush.
And how many gloves were there?
I did not unravel the gloves on scene.
So what did you do with them?
They were turned into the GVI crime lab afterwards.
Did you package them before you did that?
Yes,
How did you package them?
I packaged them in a paper bag.
And same question with the jacket. Jacket was collected. Did you package it?
Yes,
And did you seal it?
yes,
Did you seal the gloves also?
I did.
And were those items delivered to the crime lab sealed?
Yes.
Immunity was marked for identification purposes of state's exhibits 147 and 149. I'm gonna leave them both up here if you're gonna ask them to look at them.
Yes.
What is 147?
This is the jacket that was recovered from the dumpster.
And it has gone to the crime lab, correct?
Correct.
For testing.
Yes.
The state will move to admit state 147, 147.
Objection.
Objection.
147 is admitted.
Published. And is there a hood on this jacket that I'm holding?
Yes.
One 49. First of all, do you recognize the outer packaging, which is in marked 149?
Yes.
And inside 149 is what? Just describe what it is.
Yep. 3 individual envelopes inside there.
And do you see a crime lab number associated with those?
Yes.
Okay. And could you just read that out for the record?
It's 2024-1005-107.
And those 3 items, go ahead and look inside. And do you recognize those 3 items inside the envelopes?
Those are 3 black gloves.
And the statement moved to admit states 149.
3?
No objection.
149 is admitted.
May I publish on it?
You had 3 gloves? Why do you have 3 gloves?
Out of 149. In front of you also is 145. So I'm going to ask you, after the collection of the gloves and the jacket, did you have the opportunity to also assist Special Agent Stewart's DNA and photographing?
Yes.
When did that occur?
This occurred on the 23rd.
What month?
The 23rd of February.
2024.
Yes.
And where did that occur?
At the Athens Clark County East Precinct.
And were you the person that actually physically swabbed the defendant to get a sample of his DNA?
Yes.
And was that done after obtaining first?
Yes.
The sample of his DNA, tell the court how exactly you went about collecting it.
I collected buccal swabs using 2 sterile cotton swabs on the inside.
He said it wrong.
Okay, and then did you label them?
Yes.
Did you seal them?
Yes.
And were they delivered to the crime lab sealed?
Yes.
The person that you swabbed that day, on the 23rd day of February, do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Would you please point to him and describe an article of clothing he's wearing?
He's wearing a blue and white checkered shirt.
May the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant. States, can you give me that evidence number again? It's like 145.
145.
Are those the swabs that you collected?
Yes.
And this time the Army State moved to admit states 145.
45 submitted.
Moving on to other matters that you did in this case, I want to hand you what has been marked for identification purposes as States Exhibits 131 through 139. If you could look at those for me. Recognize those?
Yes.
What are
These are pictures that I took of a bag that was seized by ACCPD from Diego Ibarra.
What day did you obtain that bag from ACCPD?
The bag was obtained from ACCPD on the 26th of February, 2024.
When you obtained from ACCPD a bag that belonged to Diego Ibarra, did you search the bag?
Yes.
And did you look at the items inside the bag?
Yes.
And did you photograph the items inside the bag?
Yes.
And do States Exhibits 131 through 139 depict the photographs that you took?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately depict the items of Diego's bag and the items inside the bag as you saw them on February 26th of 2024?
Yes.
State would move to admit 131 through 139. And may I publish?
Yes.
And in looking through the items that belong to Diego Ibarra, did you see any items that had any blood on it?
No.
States 131, what's that?
That's a picture of the bag.
States 134, what are those?
Those are two gloves that were found inside of the bag.
States 135.
The other side of those gloves that were found in the bag.
Now, are those cloth gloves or plastic gloves?
Those are cloth gloves. One of them is kind of a mix of leather type material and cloth.
And were there any blood on these items?
No.
Or was there any blood on those items?
No.
137.
That's a picture of the inside of the bag itself.
138.
That is the shoes that were inside the bag. I took those out and photographed them.
And these are just other items. Let's see, 136.
Those were found inside the bag as well.
139.
Those also found inside the bag.
133.
That was inside the bag.
132.
And that was in the bag as well.
Did you collect from the Athens Clark County Police Department a black Adidas style hat?
Yes.
Tell us under what circumstances you collected that and when.
That was collected at the same time that I collected the bag from the Athens Clark County Police Department. There was a search warrant that Sergeant Rabu had obtained for those items that had been taken off Diego Ibarra when he was taken into custody by ACCPD.
The black Adidas style hat, did you look at it?
When I collected it, I did not. It was already sealed in a bag from the Athens Clark County Police Department.
And that sealed bag, did you take that sealed bag to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
I did.
And I'm handing you what's been marked for identification purposes as States Exhibit 151. You recognize your handwriting on States 151?
Yes.
What is States 151?
This is the evidence bag that I placed the Athens Clark County evidence bag inside of.
Okay, and what was inside the Athens Clark County bag?
A black Adidas hat.
And was that all delivered to the crime lab sealed?
Yes.
I'm gonna move to admit states 151 and link it up with another one.
It's admitted.
And states 151, do you also see that same crime lab number on states 151?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you also obtain a cell phone, a blue Motorola cell phone, seized from Diego Ibarra from ACC PD?
I did at the same time that I picked up the bag and the hat.
Any what's been marked for identification purposes of States Exhibit 152.
Yes.
Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
What is it?
That is, this is the cell phone that was seized or that was collected from ACCP. I then placed it inside of one of our evidence bags.
Was that the cell phone seized from Diego Ibarra on February 23rd of 2020?
Yes.
Say we move to admit states 152.
No objection. 152 submitted.
Of all the items, just globally, so I want to make sure that this was clear for the record. Of all the items that you collected from the scene of Laken Riley's murders, that would be Daniela Stewart's numbers 1 through 8. You know what I'm talking about? For evidence markers?
Yes.
Yes. All of those items that you collected, did you seal those items yourself?
Yes.
And did you deliver those to the crime lab sealed?
Yes.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Is it Lieutenant Saunders?
Yes.
Lieutenant, you were called to the scene on February 22nd, you said around 2:00 p.m.?
No.
You can look at your report. If you
Yeah, we
refresh.
arrived around 12:57.
12:57. And you had initially started the process, or you were moving toward the scene to process it yourself.
I was right. Before I was notified that the GBI was on the way, I took some photographs of the overall scene.
Sure. And then when you were told GBI was sending somebody, you kind of held off until they arrived.
Correct.
And is it fair to say she took the lead on documenting the scene?
Yes.
Or, okay. Was there any investigative act that you took the lead on, or were you just letting her and following along behind her?
The only thing that I didn't, or that I collected without being in the presence of Agent Stewart, was the styrofoam cup and the jacket and the gloves later on.
Okay. Let's talk about the latent fingerprint discovered on the phone. That was later at night, around 9 o'clock. You can refer to your report.
It was later at night. It was a little bit before 9 o'clock.
And before you processed it for fingerprints, you noticed that it was the fingerprint appeared to be made with some sort of reddish substance.
There appeared to be some sort of reddish substance in the fingerprint.
Did you believe it was blood?
I wasn't sure what it was.
Okay. Was it a liquid red substance?
It appeared to be made from a liquid, yes.
So we have heard you use the term processed. What do you mean by processed?
When I say process, it can mean different things, but in this particular case, I mean using fingerprint powder and a fingerprint brush to make the print itself stand out.
And what is that fingerprint powder made of?
I'm not 100% sure.
When you use fingerprint powder on a substance, is that substance then able to be chemically examined, or does the fingerprint powder kind of ruin whatever chemical substance was there before?
So I know the fingerprint powder and the brush we use is DNA free. As far as chemical processing afterwards, I can't say whether or not that would prevent anything like that from being done.
Was the surface of the phone ever tested for DNA?
The surface of the phone was swabbed.
And were those swabs sent off for DNA testing?
They were given to the GDI crime lab.
And was that done after the latent print was processed?
Yes.
I had a question. I noticed that both you and Ms. Ross are putting on gloves to handle the evidence today. Can you explain why that is?
We change our gloves between handling different items of evidence to avoid any sort of cross-contamination with the DNA.
Because DNA can be transferred by as simple as a touch. Is that right?
I can't say how much of a touch it takes to transfer DNA.
But your testimony a moment ago was that you put on gloves to avoid transferring that DNA.
Correct.
When we looked at States 147, the blue jacket, part of the jacket was actually kind of missing. You could see the white lining inside the jacket.
Correct.
That was a cutting that wasn't there when you photographed the jacket in the dumpster. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay, so that was done later at the crime lab.
Correct.
And so I just wanted to clarify that's not the tear you guys are talking about when you see the dumpster in the video.
The large cutting is not the tear that we saw in the dumpster.
Okay. So one thing that it was hard for us to see in here was the condition of the gloves. Now, you were present when defense counsel looked at the gloves a couple weeks ago or last week.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And we actually kind of like spread them out on the table. And the gloves, they're not latex gloves, right?
I'm not sure what material they are.
What I mean by that is they're not the stretchy, rubbery consistence of the gloves that you and Miss Ross are
They're
wearing.
not. No, they're not like stretchy material.
They're more like, I don't know, papery, thin material.
They are thinner gloves.
Would it be consistent to say they look like food service gloves?
I've never worked in the food service industry, so I can't.
When you pull them out of the bag now, they've been kind of cut along the entire seam, so they're almost like a butterfly effect, spread out.
Correct.
But in your report, you document, or you and a detective or Miss Stewart document, there are some tears in the gloves. How were those documented before they were cut up for processing?
So when I collected the gloves, they were still bundled up in a ball. I did not undo the ball to photograph the condition. From what I understand, from when they were photographed at the crime lab, a tear was seen in the gloves.
So when you picked up the gloves, they were tangled up in one bundle, as you said.
They were all together in a ball.
And when you got them back, they had already been kind of cut out and kind of expanded for the processing.
They had been processed at the crime lab.
Okay. So you didn't ever have a chance to document kind of the condition of the gloves?
I did not.
But you are aware that there were 3 of them that came back?
I did not know how many gloves were in the bundle when I collected it.
But you are aware that 3 of them came back?
Correct.
Okay. I want to talk to you about DNA collection. The same day that you collected DNA from multiple individuals, is that right?
The only swabs that I did was on Jose.
So you didn't collect the swabs for the other individuals being tested?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of who collected those swabs?
I know I didn't.
When you went to collect Mr. Ibarra's DNA, you first tried buccal swabs?
Yes.
Okay. I learned today that they're pronounced buccal, not buccal.
Well,
But those are the inside of the cheek.
Buccal.
Correct.
Okay. And then you also did swabs around the fingernail area.
Correct.
And Ms. Stewart said that was because the fingernails were too short to be cut. Is that right?
They were too short to be cut.
Okay. And did you send those swabbings off to the lab as well?
Those I would have to see my evidence sheet to see if they were sent off.
So you're not sure if they were sent off?
They were not tested.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. So you never got them back from the lab with a result on them?
I know they were not tested.
But you just don't know if you sent them off to be tested?
I couldn't tell you without looking at the evidence sheet.
I want to talk briefly about what you found in Diego's gray bag. You showed us a picture of cloth gloves that were in the bag.
Correct.
And it's a little hard to tell, but you would agree that those are not from the same pair of gloves.
No, they're two different style gloves.
Do they still comprise a left and a right hand, to your knowledge?
One of them is a cloth hand, a cloth glove. It's kind of like these.
Okay.
It could be on the right or the left hand.
Okay. But you never found the other two matching gloves that would have completed those two sets throughout your investigation?
Those were the only two gloves in the bag.
And when you were looking at items for blood, how do you do that?
Visual inspection.
Did you use any sort of infrared lighting to see if blood was apparent on these gloves?
Yeah, I
No,
know.
it was just visual inspection.
It was just visual inspection. Did you consider using any sort of
I was
special
taught
lighting
buccal.
or chemicals to see if there was blood on those gloves?
I can just tell
I
you
know
I
it can be
didn't.
either or.
I just looked at the gloves.
And those gloves were not sent off to the lab?
No.
Just a moment.
I think they're doing a lot of asking the wrong person the question.
I pointed your testimony, Mr. Saunders. You said that no item collected from Diego had blood. But just to clarify, the black Adidas hat was collected from Diego. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can tell you nothing in the bag that I looked through had blood that I was able to see.
Understood.
Just briefly, and if you felt like you needed to do more of an examination of those items from Diego's backpack, you could have sent them off, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was there anything that you saw in there in that backpack that made you think there was blood on any of those items?
No, there was nothing that would indicate there was blood on anything in that bag.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Beth? You excused? Excused.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Detective Preston Norris. Tag 175.
They always do that. They're like, well, was this tested or was that tested? I don't know. I didn't do it. You got to ask the right question to the person.
Do you swear affirm the testimony that you will give today in the matter of the state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please state your name for the record and spell it phonetically.
First name is Preston, Preston. Last name Norris, N is in November, Orris.
Where do you work?
University of Georgia Police.
How long have you worked there?
Going on 6 years.
What are your duties and responsibilities there?
I'm currently assigned as a sergeant in the Criminal Investigations Division.
That is your rank and where you work, but what do you do day in and day out?
So I am now the evidence custodian and property management detective in the Detective Bureau. So I'll also oversee a group of corporal detectives and work cases that are assigned to me whenever they come in.
Were you assigned as the lead investigator in the murder of Laken Riley?
I was.
Tell us, first of all, did you respond to the scene of her murder?
I did.
What time did you get there?
Approximately 1 o'clock.
What did you do while you were there?
I assisted Sergeant Daniel Saunders. Well, he's a lieutenant now. He was the lead evidence custodian at the time. I assisted him and GBI Special Agent Daniela Stewart in processing the crime scene.
and assisting them, at some point, were you an individual or the individual that was able to locate Laken Riley's phone?
I was.
Tell the court about that process and how it is that you were able to find her phone.
Okay, so we were unable to find her phone that entire day. We had evidence that showed that it was still in the area based on what her roommates were saying, that it was still pinging near where the body was found. And we also had live pings coming from Verizon, which was the cell phone provider that Laken had. So we knew it was still in the area. We believed it may be under where her body was. As soon as the coroner removed her body, we first searched in that area for the cell phone. It was not there. So then I started a periodic search around where the body was located. And about 25 minutes into that process, I found the phone.
Okay. By the time that you did that, what's a periodic search?
So I did like a 20-yard perimeter of where her body was found. So I went directly in front of where the body was found, looked in that area, kind of moved to the right, basically moved in a circle around the body within like 20 yards, shining my flashlight just to see if I could get anything to reflect off the light. And the phone did reflect off my flashlight.
So by the time that you were doing that, was it dark?
It was very dark.
That makes sense why they found it. It was easier to find at night.
I do.
What is it?
This is my flex scan footage of me finding the cell phone.
And is it a fair and accurate recording of that process?
It is.
And the state would move to amendment 171, request permission to publish.
71 submitted, you met up.
Can we toggle back over, Your Honor? Is that you that just talked?
Yes, that is my voice.
What did you say?
I almost stepped on it.
And by it, you meant?
The cell phone.
All right, so you see your flashlight. What time was this now, if you look at the time on your flex cam?
In Eastern Standard Time, this is 6:56 in the evening.
And what are the white things that we see in your reflection of your light?
Dust, bugs, just stuff.
Things that are in the woods?
Yes.
So you locate the phone, and then who ends up collecting that?
Daniela Stewart with the GBI and Sergeant Saunders.
So how long were you at the scene the day Laken Riley?
Roughly 8.5 hours, I'd say.
And at some point, when you left, where did you go?
We were on the way back to the police station when Captain Graham received a call. In the vehicle was Captain Graham, Sergeant Saunders, and myself. He received a call from someone at ACCPD in reference to one of their officers locating a jacket at the, I refer to it as the Argo Apartments, located at 2085 South Millage Avenue. One of their officers had found a jacket that they wanted us to look at.
The Argo Apartments located there off Millage Avenue, are those located in Clark County, Georgia?
Yes, they are.
I'm sorry, Athens, Clark County, Georgia. And is that on UGA property, or is that, how close is that to you?
It abuts UGA property, roughly 50 yards from UGA property.
So you went over there, and what happened once you got there?
So first things first, we met with Officer Zach Davis, who was the one that located the jacket. We kind of got a brief from him, what he had noticed inside the recycling dumpster. I tried to look in through the slit. I could not see anything inside the dumpster, so I climbed over the side of the dumpster to get a look at the jacket. And after I made those observations, I agreed that we needed to collect it. And once I jumped back off of the dumpster, I was kind of looking in the area for anything else that stood out to me. And when I turned to my right, I saw a video camera that was looking at me at one of the neighboring apartments.
What did you do after you saw the video?
I went and talked to the resident who lived in that apartment.
Did the resident allow you in?
Yes,
And what's his name for the record?
Edwin Edelinsky.
Can you spell his last name for Madam Clerk, please?
Edelinsky.
When he allowed you in, what did you ask and what did you do while you were in his apartment?
I asked him if it was his apartment and if he knew if the video camera was working that was facing towards the dumpster. He said that it was.
Yeah. Don't tell me what he said, but did he allow you to look at his video?
Yes, he did.
And did you look at his video
I did.
from apartment B32?
Yes,
And did you collect video from apartment B32?
I did.
And I'm going to then show you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 173. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
It is a video clip that I collected from the owner of that residence.
And it is a fair and accurate recording of the video that you collected from B32.
That is correct.
State would move to admit 173.
Any objection to 173? Can I have just a second for council? Yes.
Judge, I think that this is without Mr. Edelinsky here to verify that that was captured and that the system was working appropriately, that that would not be admissible.
That's not required. It's just a matter of what he saw that day and he recorded himself that evening. So I think we have created the appropriate foundation for that.
I would move no objection.
Thank you, Judge.
So States 173, I'm going to request permission to publish. When you viewed that evening in his apartment
Yes.
and you got a recording of it from him, correct?
Yes, he emailed it to me.
And you also saw it yourself from his device, right?
Yes, yes.
What type of camera did he have?
It was a UFI camera, EUFI.
And the day that he emailed you, was it exactly the identical video that you had seen with your own eyes from his UFI camera when you were standing inside his apartment?
Yes. That's the wrong clip.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me look at the date. Oh, wait, these are the.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is it the one in the middle?
It's a different.
Oh, the
flash
different
drive.
one. Hold on
Yeah.
just 1 minute. It says, guys, you obtained a lot of UFI video
Yes,
from
I
him.
did.
This one that I just showed then, which is 173, just tell us what UFI clips these are.
These are video clips of two Hispanic males that Sophia and Lily saw the day of the murder on the 22nd.
And you obtained those as well in the same manner?
Yes, I did.
Hold on just 1 moment. We're missing a thumb drive. I can't read your handwriting. You may have heard. Is that 124?
That's not it.
So where does that leave us with 173?
We're
Not
still
sure.
going to with that and make it relevant.
Okay, so you're withdrawing 173.
No, I still want the 173 in that part of 173. There were several UV clips, so I'll get into explaining which clips these are.
Okay.
And may we have
Let me make sure I'm sure. All of 173 came from that apartment camera that was focused on.
That's correct. All of 173 came from apartment UFI camera from B32.
Okay.
It's just that he got several different days and different clips from that day from B32, and this one is just a different one than the one that I am looking for with the thumb drive that we cannot find right now. So 1 moment, Your Honor. This has got to be in there somewhere.
Judge, while we're here, I know that the state is looking to admit this. We have the same objection to this, which is that
Officer Norris cannot independently verify that the system that was capturing these videos was working appropriately, and thus it's all hearsay. He doesn't know. He's not able to lay that foundation.
Well, how is it different from a homeowner that comes in and then retrieves a recording that wasn't there to see it? It's unlike a photograph where people take a photograph and you ask about a foundation, about them being able to testify that it accurately depicts the scene at the time. I don't know what the difference is.
I think it's less about the accuracy of the scene itself, which no one could testify to who didn't actually see it themselves. It's whether or not the video that is captured, it's the same way any other surveillance video in a bar or a gas station, anything like that, that the owner and the operator of that system has to be able to testify that the system itself was working appropriately when the recording was made in order to lay the foundation for the video showing it is an actual video of what it's supposed to be. And so that's what the objection is, Judge.
He's just now objecting.
Georgia law has a statute that is aimed exactly at videos like this, and I will pull it up if I get my computer to come up, that talks about the authentication of videos that are self-recording, like Reams, like Eufy, like body cam, like dash cam. And the state has made the appropriate foundation, or has met the appropriate foundation for this type of video in this case.
Why are they just now objecting to this video?
And we're still turning here, but I need one moment, y'all. We have misplaced one thumb drive, and I really do need to go find it real quick. May we take a 5-minute break?
Yes.
It is, we have about 27 thumb drives at this point, and I cannot read his handwriting, so I need to find it briefly.
Would it help to see you step down?
Yes, maybe step down as well. It might be. So let me, if I could.
You want me to send the jury back to the jury room? When we do
And I will, see if I can.
I always wonder when they're admitting evidence and they ask, is there an objection? And the defense says, no objection. Well, you know they don't want that jacket in evidence because it's bad evidence for their side. But they can't object because they don't have any grounds to object. I mean, they could say, it's bad for our case, but that's not a legal objection. So is it just like courtesy to ask if they object? But like, I understand what he's saying. Like, if the video was coming from Ring itself or whatever company that's saying, yes, this timestamp or whatever on this video is accurate. This video was caught at this time. I understand his objection. But why now? They've had pretrial hearings in this case. Why are they just popping up now with, we object to this video? Because they knew the video was going to be admitted as evidence. And it's some of the strongest evidence in the case. He was caught on video putting that jacket in that dumpster. So why didn't they ask for this not to be admitted before? That judge was funny. Should we have the jury go back to the jury room? My dogs are being so good right now. I had it muted because they were barking for French fries. And the French fries are still here and they're being quiet. They're being so good. I'm so proud of them. Until they pee in the house again. And then I won't be. I even bought like an indoor pee pad. Not its pad. It's like a fake grass thing So like if it's storming, I specifically bought it like for the hurricanes because they don't want to go outside in a hurricane. I don't want to go outside in a hurricane. And they wouldn't use it. They wouldn't even walk on it. They would walk around it. Yeah, I'm curious about this statute too. And if other states have it. And I know a lot of people don't like that we're under surveillance all the time. But I say, if you're not doing anything wrong, if you don't have anything to hide, why worry about it? Because if there had been security cameras out where she was running, this might not have happened. And who knows, it might still have happened because there were cameras where he threw away the evidence. So, although he may not have known that camera was there. I don't know. They just said it was an AT&T outage. And I have never been able to get the Wi-Fi hotspot to work. But I also think that I kind of live in a dead spot. So I don't think that my data works. Because, like, if I'm in my yard, my phone will connect to the speakers in my car. But then sometimes, no. I was going to say sometimes the music then cuts out, but it's not the music. It's like the music will play from my phone, but if I try to look anything up online, that won't work. But music will play. So it's like data partially works on my phone. Like as soon as I get out of my yard. Oh, proud moment is over. You screwed it up, Bill.
This is a flash drive. I put multiple videos, including the video that you
Including the UPB 32 video
Yes,
that we were just talking about.
yes, that's correct.
What other videos are also on this thumb drive?
There are also some videos from a Ring camera that was also within the apartment complex.
And then what resident did you obtain the Ring cameras from videos?
Bethany Paisley,
What is her apartment number?
Delta 124.
How did you obtain those videos from Bethany Paisley?
We had one initial video that was collected from Bethany on the 23rd by one of our captains. I went back a few days later and obtained the rest of the videos that her Ring camera captured during the time period.
All right. And did you obtain those videos in the same way that you did the B32? When you showed up at her residence, you had access to her camera and you looked at it yourself and then you recorded them?
That's correct.
And can you testify that all the videos on State's Exhibit 174, whether it's from B32 or D124, are fair and accurate recordings of what you yourself saw on both B32 UFI and D124 Ring?
That's correct.
Say we moved to Exhibit 174. Thank you.
Let me ask, is it 174 or 172?
Now let me go see. I need to see it this point. It is 172.
Objection to 172. Is there one? Okay.
There is, no doubt that that's what he saw on this, because I think it's what we're gonna see. But the problem is whether or not he can competently testify as to where that came from, what it was recording, whether that system was operating correctly.
I think under 24.9.923C, that's addressed.
Thank you. That was a statute number I was looking for. Thank you. So I'm going to now, with the court's permission, publish at least one of the videos off of 170. And we're going to talk about the others from D124 a little later. But the video that I'm going to publish off of States 172 would be the UFI video from apartment B32. First of all, as I'm publishing that first video, and there are 3 videos on States 172 for the record, this is the first video on that thumb drive. Do you see the dumpster that you were at that
Forgot I was
night
muted.
in States Exhibit 172 in this video?
I do.
So it was everywhere, like all of TNT,
Right in front of you.
all of AT&T.
Yes.
It's old school. In the center of the screen?
Yes.
Do you see in the UFI video a date and time at the top?
I do, yes.
What is the date and what is the time?
February 22nd, 2024 at 09:43 in the morning.
Hell.
Is that complete playing the clip of the B32 UFI video from the 22nd day of February 2024 at 9:44 a.m.?
Yes.
All right, using this screen that's up, it's still 172 for the record. I want to ask you a series of questions about this exact location.
Okay.
And to do that, I have a map for you, which is already marked as States Exhibit 175. And I'm going to ask if you recognize Stage 175.
I do, yes.
What is it?
It is a overhead map of the immediate area surrounding the intramural fields and South Village Avenue.
And with using States 175, AG in your testimony today before the court regarding the locations surrounding this area.
Yes, it would.
State would move to admit States 175, request permission to publish for demonstrative purposes only.
No objection to this purpose, Judge.
Very well, submitted for that purpose.
I don't know if it's going to fit. So I think what we can do, I think we need to set it down because it's big enough. So what we're going to do is set it right here, not use the easel because it's too big. And if you could, Detective Norris, first of all, I need to make sure that His Honor can see. Can you see?
I can, I'll stand up as I need to.
And that counsel can see. Can y'all see? Yes. And if you could step down with the court's permission, but you have to keep your voice to Madam Court Reporter and you have to keep your voice up so that she can hear you. Show the court what we're looking at here in State 175. I want to start with, use your pointer, where'd the pointer go? I want to start with the apartment complex that we see here in this video, the UFI video. It's at States 172. Where is that in this diagram?
The complex is right here.
Okay. And was Laken Riley's body discovered?
Right here in the intramural.
And there's an incident that we're going to talk about a little later, which is Building S. Where is that located in here? Okay, with an S on it for the record. And then is Laken Riley's residence also depicted in here? Could you show us that? All right. So distance-wise, did you measure all of these distances? Okay. So I'd like you to tell us for the record, the distance between Laken Riley's body and that dumpster that we see in this UV video, what is that distance?
Roughly 450 yards.
The distance between building S and Laken Riley's body, what is that distance?
I believe it was roughly 400 yards.
The distance between building S and that dumpster is what?
150 yards. Roughly.
All right. Is there a camera, a trail cam, or was there at the time? Did the University of Georgia Police Department have a trail cam up near building S?
Yes, we had a trail cam set up in front of building S. Around.
Okay, right next to where the pedestrian is depicted in this exhibit. What is a trailer cam? And you can go ahead and resume your seat so Madam Porter can hear you really well. What is a trailer cam?
So we have two of them in our department. You've probably seen them at department stores like Lowe's or Walmart. It's basically a set of cameras that are attached to a trailer that you can. It's a portable trailer that has cameras attached to the top of it. They usually have them at Lowe's or Walmart to prevent shoplifting.
I'm going to show you a few other state exhibits. These are 156, 155, and 157. Ask if you recognize those.
I do, yes.
Let's take them one at a time. Let's first go with 156.
I want to fix the back of her
This is
hair.
a overhead of the Argo apartment complex.
The apartment complex that we see in this UV video.
That's correct.
The state would move to admit states 156. The state would move to admit 156.
56 admitted.
While I'm up here, 155, what is that?
This is an overhead of the intramural fields, specifically the Oconee Forest Park area.
They would move to admit 155. And then the state would move to admit 157 as well.
Admitted. No, okay.
Tell us 156, which apartment complex this is.
This is the Argo apartment complex.
And I'm going to try to zoom in a little more. Anyway, in this exhibit 156, can you see the dumpster that we had seen in the prior UFI video?
Can't really see the dumpster, but you can see the concrete pad that it sits on, yes.
Point that out.
Between building B and C here, this white area is the concrete pad that the dumpsters sit.
How many different buildings are in this apartment complex?
5.
And what are their numbers or letters? Excuse me.
It is a A through E.
Do you did you eventually learn in this case where Jose Ibarra was living at this time?
Yes.
Where was he living?
Delta 126.
So show us building D in this video or in this photograph.
It's the one labeled D right here at the top.
Okay, and before I go back to the UFI video, well, in the UFI video, we see the individual dump the jacket and then walk towards the bushes and then walk away.
Yes.
In what direction was that person walking?
Walking towards building E and then northeast area of the dumpster.
Would that be towards building D?
Yes. Building D is also in there.
All right. Are there cut-throughs, or sometimes called cuts, between the apartment complex and then the road that we see on the edge of 156?
Yes, there are 2 main.
Tell us, first of all, what is the road that we see?
Avenue extension.
Is that the same road that Laken Riley lived on?
Yes.
How do you get from the apartment complex onto Millage Avenue extension?
The easiest way would be there's one of the two cut-throughs.
Show us the cut-throughs.
The first one is between buildings C and D, right here, there's a cut-through area here. And the second is between B and C where the dumpster is. That's another one.
Where's building S in this photograph, in what direction?
So here.
Very top.
Yes.
And when I say building S, I mean building S at the University of Georgia Housing. Thank you. States exhibit. Oh, I'm gonna go on there. I wanna go to, building D. So you said, that he lived in D 126.
What?
Yes,
Did you meet the neighbors, his neighbors at D 125 and 126?
I did,
Will
yes.
will you tell the court when you met them,
Ate it
how
all.
you met them?
I met them on February 26th. That is when I met Bethany Paisley, the resident of 124, and I gathered her ring video. That was captured on the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd. And then also met with the resident of 125. He also had a camera that captured photographs in the window of his apartment. So I also met with him and obtained some photos from him.
Did you obtain those photos from him in the same manner in which you obtained the ring video and the Eufy video?
Yes,
Did you stand in his apartment, look at the camera, and take the photos?
yes.
I'll get to the photos in a minute. The Eufy video that we just saw, was it sent to the GBI Cyber Center for enhancement?
It was, yes.
And is there one image that they were able to do is enhance it and slow down parts of that video?
Yes.
Your Honor, if you could toggle back over, I'm going back to 172. One minute. It started too fast. I'm back it up. What are we looking at here in 172?
This is the GBI Cyber Forensics slowed down and enhanced version of the same video we watched earlier.
From B1, or from B32?
That's correct.
So going back to states 172, you had a folder in there, ring videos from D124.
Yes.
That would be the neighbor Bethany that you've already told us about. I'm gonna publish some of her videos, but I'm gonna do it one at a time. So this ring.com video, do you see the date and time in the corner of it?
I do, yes.
And could you please tell us that for the record?
February 22nd, 2024 at 10:21 a.m. And that is Eastern Standard Time.
In what direction was that person walking in that video that we just saw?
It'd be south in the apartment complex towards a dumpster.
And that dumpster that they were walking in the direction of, did you all search that dumpster?
Yes, we did.
And did you find anything related to this crime in that dumpster?
We did not. We later learned that it had been dumped approximately 45 minutes after this video was taken. It had been picked up by the trash service.
Next ring on D124, what's the date and time of this one?
This one is February 19th, 2024 at 02:02 a.m.
And this is what, the next video, what is this date?
This is February 21st, 2024, around midnight 21.
Okay, do you recognize the person in this video, this clip?
Yes, that is Diego Ibarra.
next one, I'm gonna pause it real quick while it's running. What is the date and time of this one?
February 21st, 2024 at midnight 31.
And you recognize the person in this video?
That is Jose Ibarra. And that is Diego Ibarra.
Oh God,
All right, I'll stop this one. This is the 5th video. What's the date and time of this one?
February 21st, 2024 at 7:02 p.m.
All right, do you see the shirt in that video?
I do, yes.
Have you seen that shirt before?
Yes, I have.
And where did you see that shirt?
This is the shirt that Jose Ibarra was wearing in the B-32 video that captured him discarding the jacket in the dumpster.
No.
Is he also wearing a hat in this video?
Yes, yes.
And what type of hat is it?
It is a flat bill style hat.
And stopping the next video, what's the date and time of this one?
February 21st, 2024 at 9:04 p.m.
What is in his hand?
I believe it's a cell phone.
And does he have a bag on in this video?
Yes, a crossbody sling bag.
Okay, can you point that bag out for the court, please?
This bag is right here across his body.
And in your investigation into this case and the searches that you all conducted, did you ever find that bag?
We did not.
The shirt that he's wearing in this video, did you ever find that shirt?
We did not.
She's barking at the cat.
Date and time of this, I believe, our 6th clip, 5th clip.
February 21st, 2024, 9:07 p.m.
And who is this person?
Jose Ibarra.
And now what is he wearing?
That is the blue jacket that we wound up finding in the B-32 dumpster. That had been discarded.
And the last clip.
February 22nd, 2024, 1:35 a.m.
And I may have backed up for this, but what's he wearing in this video?
The blue jacket, the flat bill hat, pants and slides.
When you say slides, what do you mean by slides?
Slide on basketball shoes. Open toe.
How much video did you look at from D124?
All of the videos she provided me with, I believe they went through February 19th of 2024 through February 23rd, 2024. It's over 4 days.
And were you looking for both Diego Ibarra and Jose Ibarra?
Yes, I was looking for all of the residents of the apartment, 126.
You said that also the neighbors at 125 had a camera as well.
Yes, that's correct.
And instead of a video camera, it was a still camera.
That's correct.
So that's how you work with them.
I spoke to the resident that lived there, and he allowed me to send the pictures that were captured from that video camera to myself through email.
And is that what you did?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibits 158 through 162, and ask you a series of questions. If you could look at those.
Do you recognize those items?
I do, yes.
What are they?
These are the some of the photos that I gathered from the resident of 125.
And are they fair and accurate depictions of the photos that you collected that day from the resident?
Yes.
State we move to admit 158 through
Start first with one 62. I think it's warming up.
Come here, Shadow.
It should be up again. Okay, if we toggle back over, it should be working. Great. What is 162?
This is a picture that depicts Jose Ibarra without the bag that I saw him with 3 minutes prior in the ring video.
What's the date and time of that?
February 22nd, 2024, 10:24 a.m.
Does this depict and what's the date and time?
The date and time is February 21st, 2024 at 9:35 p.m. And that is Jose Ibarra with the blue jacket and the black and white Adidas cap.
So unlike the ring footage from D124, the still photos are actually in color.
Yes, you can actually see the colors in the images.
And do these color images line up timestamp wise with the ring doorbell video, the ring video?
Yes, they do.
So State's Exhibit 160, date and time?
February 21st, 2024, 11:44 p.m.
What is depicted in that photo?
That is Jose Ibarra wearing the gray and black t-shirt with the crossbody sling bag.
161.
February 22nd, 2024, 1:34 a.m. That is Jose Ibarra with the sling bag and the blue jacket, which you can't see his face in this one, but it lines up with the ring video that was captured at 1:35.
So if you look at the ring video at the same time and compare the same.
Yes, they because he is walking in that direction.
And 158.
February 21st, 2024, 7:08 p.m. And that is Jose Ibarra carrying the blue jacket the same way he was carrying it in the B-32 video.
Video review in this case.
I did. I've watched hundreds of hours of video for this case.
I want you to explain to the court, in general terms, and maybe we'll drill down, but in general terms, what knows you watch and why?
So the ones that are not depicted on an area of Millage Avenue and Macon Highway, which was the Shell gas station, the Chevron gas station, the Waffle House, and a liquor store, I believe it's Tall Boy Package Store. I watched all of their video footage, exterior and interior cameras. February 22nd, 2024, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. that day. And then this photo depicts the UGA campus security camera map. So all the little camera icons that you see on this map, at each of those locations there are 4 different cameras. And I watched all of the video cameras from those areas.
It's hard to see on the screen or on that. I have a different way of showing this image 157 on the screen. And so if the court could just toggle over, I'll show 157 on the screen. That would be easier for everyone to see. There we go. Is that also 157, just a little easier to see?
Yes, it's just a digital file.
All right, So if you could use the digital file of 157, it's easier to see, and show the court where are all the cameras in and around the intramural fields that you looked at.
This first camera here is Village Avenue Extension by University Village. We have 3 buildings here, T, U, and V. So it kind of watches these buildings as well as the crossing this intersection here.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll have to do this in phases because it's the whole image can't be picked up. Go ahead.
This camera here is located at East Campus Road and Rogers Road.
I'm gonna have to move your microphone because it's hard to hear you. I think Madam Court Reporter's having a hard time hearing you.
Yes.
So if you can keep your voice down.
Yep. So this the second camera is at East Campus Road and Rogers Road. There's 4 camera angles at that location.
Okay, next camera.
This is located at East Campus Road at Agriculture Drive.
Okay.
This one is East Campus Road at College Station Road. This one is College Station Road at River Road. And then we also have cameras set up in the intramural fields in the front peak deck.
And there's one more camera that was cut off because of the digital file.
Yeah, the trailer camera that I mentioned earlier, this is where it was located at in front of Building S on the UGA property.
So you watched how much video from all of these cameras that we see in States 157?
All of these cameras, we downloaded that morning 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. I've watched the majority of these cameras. One other detective only watched 2 or 3 of them, but I watched most of the video from these cameras.
Okay, and the other detective that watched the other ones is named?
Sergeant.
Okay. Sophie Rabu?
Yes.
All right, so between the 2 of you, you watched from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on what day?
February 22nd, 2020.
Okay, if you could have a seat, please. And in watching and looking at all of the cameras that you saw that day, we'll talk about the trailer cam separately with Detective Rabu. But did you ever see Diego Ibarra?
I did not.
And other than the trailer cam that we're going to talk about with Detective Rabu, did you see Jose Ibarra beyond that camera?
Yes. Okay.
We have a. Besides the trailer cam that I will talk about separately with Detective Rabu, did you see Jose Ibarra?
I did not.
And did you also look between 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. for any other people who might have been suspicious and been up to no good?
That was the main point.
And did you investigate and follow up any of the things of interest to you from all of that camera review?
Yes.
Afternoon, Detective Morris.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you considered the lead detective on this case? Is that the position that you took?
Yes.
Okay. Would it have been your job to make any DNA requests on collected evidence in the case?
In this particular case, Sergeant Saunders handled most of the evidence that was collected.
Okay.
Requesting tests from the GBI.
Did you make any requests?
I did not.
Okay. But as part of your job as lead investigator, it would be your job to review everything, correct?
Yes, I have reviewed everything.
Okay. And to make any additional requests that hadn't been accomplished?
Correct.
Okay. And there were swabs taken of Laken Riley's telephone, is that correct? Swabs for DNA?
I did not collect those swabs.
but you're aware of the swabs being taken as lead investigator, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were those swabs sent to the GBI for examination?
I do not believe so.
Okay. And so you did not know what's on those swabs,
No.
correct? Right. And you did not ask for those to be examined.
I did not.
There were swabs taken from the fingernails of Jose Ibarra, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what were those swabs taken for?
To compare DNA that was collected at the scene.
Okay. And were those swabs tested by the GBI as part of this case?
I believe so.
They were?
I'm not 100% certain at this moment, no, sir.
Okay. But you testified that you had reviewed everything. And so is it just a matter of looking back at your report, or is it just a matter of...
This is a very weird scenario. I am the lead investigator, but there were many moving parts here.
Sure.
I did review everything at one point in time, and everything that was pertinent to the case, I was made aware of at the time.
Okay.
I can't recall every single test that was done by the GBI and what those tests, what the results of those tests were.
Okay. You don't personally recall ever requesting or reviewing any results from the swabbings of the fingernails of Jose Ibarra?
I have reviewed them at one point in time, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Do you know who did those swabbings?
No, sir. I do not.
Okay. And do you know who tested those swabbings?
No, sir. I do not.
And do you know what those results were?
No, sir.
So you don't know if they were positive for Laken Riley's DNA or not?
I do not. No, sir.
That would certainly be an important factor, remember? Okay. And that would certainly be something as lead investigator that you would remember, correct?
That's correct.
Is it possible that these weren't tested?
It is possible.
Okay.
I do not recall all of the tests that were done. There were a magnitude of tests that were done in this case.
Certainly it would be something to remember, right?
Sure.
Okay. As to these videos, the videos that were introduced on your direct examination, those were not your videos, correct?
Correct.
You didn't own the cameras that were
No,
used
sir.
to
I
take
did
those?
not own any of
Okay.
those cameras.
They're not UGA videos?
No, sir.
Okay. So, aside from what you were told by these two individuals, is it Mr. Edelinsky
Yes.
and Miss
Paisley.
Paisley? Okay. So aside from what you were told by them, do you have any independent knowledge about how these cameras work?
I met with Mr. Edelinsky and Ms. Paisley. I cannot explain to you exactly how those cameras work.
Okay.
That would have to be something that they would do.
As part of your investigation, in this case. You're kind of someone who is overseeing other officers. There's a lot of other investigators and detectives and crime scene people that you're kind of overseeing. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Reviewing things and making sure that everything gets done correctly. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're not doing a lot of the actual investigation in this case, but you're helping out where you can and you're doing your part, but there's a lot of things that are that you're kind of overseeing.
Correct. There were a lot of moving parts in this investigation.
Okay. You did do some investigation into the use of Jose Ibarra's phone, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And as part of that investigation, you came to learn that it was not just Mr. Ibarra who was using that phone. Is that right?
I learned that in October of 2023, it was possible that someone else was using that phone. That's correct.
Okay. And in fact, 2 or 3 other individuals. Is that right?
2 that I know of. Yes.
2 other individuals.
Yes, besides Jose. Yes.
Okay. And that was for the main phone number that you all were investigating that was supposed to be linked to Mr. Ibarra. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And that number began with 347358?
Yes, that sounds correct.
Okay. Judge, can I have just the just to clarify that number, the number that you all were looking at the time was 347 358 3978. Is that
yes,
right?
that sounds correct. Yes.
Okay. That's all the question I have, Judge.
October of 2023 is how much prior to?
That'd be 4 months prior.
Anything else? Mr. Kirby?
Judge, nothing to bring in.
Okay. Can he be excused?
Potentially, actually, I'd actually hold him for potential rebuttal for just whatever comes down. So I'm just gonna ask that he still abide by, vocal rules. I have told all my witnesses to abide by the rules.
Okay. You can step down and take instructions. You're the boss.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll stop for today. My plan would be, as soon as the lights come back on, to talk about 8:30 Monday morning. Anything else we need to take up before we do that?
Yes. I would like to stand a little bit on our objection to this camera and this microphone in front of me, and also bring Your Honor's attention to another issue that came up over lunch regarding live stream. So as Your Honor knows, we've objected to cameras in the courtroom. Your Honor has overruled it so that the public can have access to this trial. We objected to it being live streamed. Your Honor overruled this, and the public can have access to this trial. We objected to there being 2 cameras in the courtroom. Again, Your Honor has overruled us for the purpose of the public having access to the trial. I think that this camera being where it is a bridge too far. No member of the public who sat in this courtroom would be sitting here looking at us, looking at the defense counsel table with a microphone pointed toward the defense counsel table. Your Honor asked us to let you know if it was intrusive. I can tell you it was. I myself was personally distracted multiple times when it moved. And also we were, sorry, Your Honor asked if it was intrusive, and it was. I myself was distracted multiple times when it moved. It's on some sort of automatic thing. It will, when we stand up, it will swivel, or someone will turn it, but it is distracting. There's a microphone pointed towards our table. That microphone, I've been told, is live. I do not think we need to have this camera here. No one, like I said, no one in the public is going to have the shot if they were watching. That's something that Your Honor would have, and the bailiff, and that's it. And it does discourage, in some ways, some consultation with Mr. Ibarra. It discourages consultation among the attorneys. I know Your Honor was kind of stuck because that's how it was set up today. I'm just asking, when we reset the courtroom for Monday, if we could either take it down or at least remove the mic. This isn't about giving the news the best media shot of Mr. Ibarra at all times. That's not what the purpose of having the courtroom open to the public is.
I haven't heard anything on that mic from their table.
Which is from the galley. And then the second thing I want to tell Your Honor is that, part of the problem with having live mics and live streams, that even if the media are trying their very best to honor Your Honor's instructions, there are mistakes. And so I wanted to report to Your Honor that one such mistake happened over the lunch break. Our colleague was reviewing the live stream and noticed that the first photo of Laken Riley, when she's found at the crime scene, made it onto the live stream. And I just give that as an example for, this idea that they can be so quick on the draw of cutting out the live stream and cutting out the mics is a fiction.
Slow down.
Sorry.
The photo that made it onto the live stream, was it her when she was found?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
I wasn't clear.
They didn't show that.
I didn't hear Mr. Wilson's questions. All I can tell you is that our colleague said the very first photo of Miss Riley that they showed at the crime scene made it onto the live stream such that she was able to watch it.
Can I ask, do you know if it was a photograph or a video?
I believe it was a photo. It was one of the crime scene photos that was put on the Elmo and then made it to the live stream.
I didn't see it. Did y'all see
I
it?
will say that to explain that, our fears and objections here are not based on nothing. This has happened in the past where they've captured our voices on after a hearing is done. It happened today. So we are going to be renewing our objections and at the least asking Your Honor to reconsider this setup right in front of us.
Do you want to be heard, Ms. Ross?
Your Honor, I have been working all day, so I've not had the chance to review the live stream. I'll investigate that over the weekend and let Your Honor know if we believe that it happened and is an issue we can address at that time. But I support defense counsel and their position on that particular case.
So I want to think about it over the weekend too, but I'll go ahead and tell you what my thought is right now. And that is removing the direct camera and microphone that is right here. I say that because I take Ms. Beck's point that if the purpose is to allow people to be in, like if they were in the gallery, they wouldn't be right here. I think that's an excellent point.
I agree with that.
So someone would have to convince me, and I'm not asking anybody to stand up and try to convince me. I would have to be convinced in some way that that is necessary over and above what you have, the one camera that takes everybody in. But I'll give some thought to that. I may ask some questions between now and then, but I'll give some thought to that.
Yes, sir.
And certainly I will try to figure out if there was an error made. I'll try to figure that out too.
Yes, Your Honor.
But can I ask?
Oh, really?
assume
I
we're
didn't
gonna
see
have
it.
some more- There's going to be some medical examiner photos. Is that going to be, can you say at this point, is that going to be the extent of that sort of evidence?
There are probably just a few more stray photos regarding her clothing, the positioning of her clothing. There are still shots, Wells body cam.
Every time I turn my camera on.
That should be it. Yes, sir.
Anything else?
Only to say that that the state has submitted a list of witnesses who don't want to be filmed. We have not yet consulted with the defense witnesses. We'd like to have the opportunity to send that list if we have any, but no objection to the state's request on those witnesses.
All right. 8:30 Monday. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all can wait just a moment.
Okay, that's it. Well, I'm gonna have to go back and look because I don't remember seeing it. every time, I guess maybe it is on my side, because every time I turn my camera back on, it buffers, which I don't know why. Oh, okay. Maybe that's why I didn't see it. Maybe I was like looking down writing or something and it was so quick I missed it. Okay, well, I will see you guys bright and early Monday morning. I hope this goes quick since there's not a jury. I don't know why I get so tired when I do these long live streams. I'm just sitting here. Okay, bye guys. Have a nice weekend and I will see you Monday.